reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The purpose of the Trump-Harris debate was to help American voters understand the issues at stake this election year and the candidates' positions on them. By that measure, the ABC debate was a miserable failure. The moderators were horribly biased. They peppered Trump with gotcha questions but ignored all Harris's sticky issues, and there are plenty. Worse, too many questions focused on elite obsessions like January the 6th, race, and climate change. They didn't flesh out the candidates' plans on the issues that normal people really care about, like inflation, the economy, job creation, immigration, and wars. Regular Americans know that the Beltway crowd is disconnected from and contemptuous of their lives. Last night, by refusing to drill down on the issues that matter to them, the ABC moderators failed not only their audience, but the great democratic process they claimed to cherish.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Protecting and growing your retirement assets can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Mark Kohler, host of Retirement and Income Radio, heard Sundays at 11 a.m., helps retirees in or near retirement protect their accounts from market volatility. Mark can help you create lifetime guaranteed, inflation-hedged income. Call Mark today at 844-619-SAFE. That's 844-619-7233. And listen this Sunday at 11 a.m. to Retirement and Income Radio.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the fallout from the debate from Tuesday night continues. And as sort of anticipated, I sort of said yesterday that I think the net of it is Trump comes in with a little advantage. He leaves with a little advantage. I don't think it materially changed the race. We got into it about how Trump could have done better and the opportunities that were missed and so on and so forth. But the net of it is that that not much has changed. And something else to remind ourselves. And I was reminded of this watching some of these post-debate focus groups. Focus groups of undecided voters. The other thing to remind ourselves is there are no undecided voters. So what we really have here, again, is a contest to see who can turn out more of their people. Let me give you an example of what I mean. CNN's Pennsylvania undecided voter focus group post-debate. And here is one woman who came down on the side of Trump after watching the debate. But, listen to the end.
I think it's important to remember that we are voting for the leader of our country and not who we like the most or who we want in our wedding party, but who is actually going to make our country better. And we're in an incredibly unique situation where we've had both of the candidates in office before, and we've gotten to see what they would do. And when facts come to facts, my life was better when Trump was in office. The economy was higher, inflation was lower, things were better overall. And now with Kamala's administration, things haven't been so fantastic. And she's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
Were you leaning towards the former president coming into the night?
Probably.
And did you vote for him in 2016 or 2020?
I did.
Yeah, so... I like what Trump did. I voted for him in 16 before I knew what he did. And then I voted for him again in 20 because things were better. And now I'm voting for him again in 24. And the flip side was true as well. There was a veteran in the focus group, and he talked about the exchange they had on Afghanistan withdrawal. And he's leaning Trump for Trump. And then there are a couple other women that sort of prattled on barely coherently talking about, I don't know, I didn't hear a lot of policy discussion, but I liked her optimism and I liked her energy, and she tried to talk about some of the plans she has, although it's difficult to do that in a short period of time. Not really. 2 minutes is not really. It's your elevator pitch on these issues. That's plenty of time. But anyway, I digress. They're Kamala voters, but they came in Kamala voters. They leave Kamala voters. A lot of this is more so about our political culture and the quality of our political discourse than it is about moving votes, I think. 312-642-5600 is turnkey.pro. Answer line and text line. Bill and Glen Ellen, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the one good thing about the debate being over, we aren't going to see Kamala again until the election day because they're going to hide her so deep. You're going to need a proof of life to know she's even alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because they aren't going to expose her to anything now. She's done. So
well, thanks for the call, Bill. Except possibly a second debate. I mean, they did present that as an opportunity. I think Trump should take it. We talked about that a bit yesterday, too, but I don't see any reason why he wouldn't take it and make a closing argument that's a little bit closer to when most people are voting than this week, of course. But just on the undecided thing, just a little bit more on that. I mean, just a little bit of color. A Reuters focus group, Trump won 6 of the 10, quote-unquote, undecided voters. New York Times survey of undecideds had similar results. The fave on fave, CNN flash poll. So these are not friendlies. CNN flash poll, pre and post debate, basically had the unfavorability of Harris and Trump remaining unchanged. Just some more. This is just sort of fascinating because people are like, who can be undecided? And I don't know why I didn't say this yesterday, but of course, sometimes we forget. You're right. No, who can be undecided? Who are these undecided voters? They basically don't exist. That's the result. Wall Street Journal did some interviews to more of these quote-unquote undecided voters. Undecided voter. This may actually be an undecided voter. She wrote in Bernie Sanders in 2020. She's leaning Trump. Her preference was RFK Jr. initially. She was disappointed by both of them. They both seem very rehearsed. What choice do we really have at this point? So, I mean, I guess that's really what your undecided voter is, the voter who is just sort of capitulating, doesn't like anything that's going on, throwing up their hands, saying they're all the same, and just wants to sort of withdraw. By the way, it should be noted that she's unemployed. Unemployed in Arizona. The title of that'd be a good title of an autobiography. Unemployed in Arizona, like I don't know, or like the follow up to. There could be a Nick Cage sequel to Raising Arizona. What do you think about that? 40-year-old behavioral specialist from Erie, Pennsylvania. She tells the Wall Street Journal. She's undecided. She voted for Biden in 2020. She's thinks Harris won the debate. She says she's a single mom. She appreciates some of Harris's economic proposals, but she's questions the feasibility and the cost of it. Oh, really? Mm-hmm. She had been more drawn to Republicans this election cycle, but thinks Trump would be stronger and thinks Trump would be stronger than Harris on some of his priorities. By the way, the net result of the poll: who do you have more confidence in when it comes to promoting a strong economy? Unchanged. Trump has like a 17-point lead. Unchanged. And she goes on, pretending to distill this. And then she just sort of ends by saying, when Donald Trump starts talking about Haitians eating people's dogs, I don't even know what to do. Yeah. Uh-huh. Right. These people sort of like addled by whatever the latest outrage of the day is that gets amplified by all of these daffy shows like The View. This is their sort of level of understanding, attention paying to politics. But are they really undecided? No, they're just sort of leaning with their emotions and repeating the sort of things they think they're supposed to say to sound curious, to sound informed, to sound like they are engaged when they're not so much. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan. Amy, thanks so much for taking my call because, boy, what you hit on here is you hit on something because there are two guys at work that were Biden supporters, and then during this time when the Biden regime has been in there, they swung over, and we've been going along talking about how rotten the regime is and looking forward to voting for Trump. But after the debate, they came in. The two of them were talking badmouthing Trump, talking about, oh, yeah, this, that, he didn't do good and good thing. And I said to him, I says, so what? Now you switched off. You're not going to vote for. Oh no, we're going to vote for Trump. Trump and everything. But man, he didn't do good. So my takeaway was they just wanted to see Trump do more damage to Kamala and bring up more things, the things that are bothering them about the economy, all the stuff. Just do a better job. So it's like you said, these guys that are even like making comments about it wasn't good. It didn't change them. During this time of the regime, they've made up their minds to go Trump, and they're sticking with them.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Greg in Schaumburg.
Hey, Dan. Dan, if we could switch topics to we got an echo on the phone again.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just going to have to deal with it.
Okay, great. If there's one person in the world that really knows women, that's got to be you.
Yes.
So let's talk about decided voters, not undecided voters, but decided voters and women, and how it is that we could put Dan Proft's magic ability to change their mind and vote for Trump.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Again, I just don't think that there is very much. I mean, even the polling, right? Trump is up 48-47. Kamala's up 49-48. So 1%, 2% of the electorate, even in polling where you have to get people to declare. And we still know that there's a lot of silent Trump voters, people that don't want to fly the Trump flag for fear of reprisals in their circles. So that's the thing. I think a lot of this persuasion stuff is overwrought, and since I spend a lot of time talking about it, that includes me. I think one of the things we've discussed before about this is it's about comfort. Like I'm not really undecided. I'm leaning. Just make me comfortable with my choice. So that's where performance does matter. That's where the quality of the presentation does matter. Just make me comfortable to maybe even a little excited, optimistic, because, the excited, optimistic person is also the more active person. And so it gets more engagement and you perhaps get more ambassadors for your candidate. So, there is a residual impact. I'm not dismissing this completely and just saying it's all about the blocking and tackling of turnout and ballot integrity and so forth. There is this communication element too. There is this human element that's important. But I just the idea of this undecided voter, trying to find these undecided voters in the wild. I just don't think I think it's a misnomer. I don't really think they're undecided. I think they're uncomfortable. And so it's who can make their leaners the most comfortable, the most excited, and who's got the best operation to turn them out and make sure their votes are counted. Aaron in Crown Point.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. Great show. Dan, I think that the mainstream media, the left, is using them to try to demoralize the Trump base. How poor he was in a debate, they're going to say, and it's going to get people to not get out there and be lukewarm. We need to talk to the people in our spheres of influence, something you've talked about, and make sure we're getting out there. We're turning out. If you have spare time in your schedule, volunteer to go be a poll watcher. Don't let them demoralize you. We've got to get out. We've got to turn out. I agree with you. There's almost no undecideds. This is going to be about turnout and exciting the base and getting them out there to vote.
Thanks for the call, Aaron. All right, coming up at 5:38, we'll sort of extend this conversation, but let's bring in some real-world issues like what is more telling about the situation at the border under this regime than the fact that Springfield, Ohio, is currently the epicenter of the debate over border security. That's 5:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
5:32, 64 degrees. A billionaire conducting the first private spacewalk, teaming up with SpaceX on this daring endeavor hundreds of miles above Earth. The spacewalk, the main focus of the 5-day flight, financed by tech guru Jarek Isaacman. 200 have died in Vietnam after Typhoon Yagi. 128 are missing. A man suspected of starting the line fire in Southern California has been arrested. San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department saying Justin Halstenberg was arrested Tuesday. Los Angeles County Fire Department Chief Anthony Maroney on the rapidly expanding bridge fire this morning.
There has been substantial wildfire growth with impacts to the communities of Mount Baldy and Wrightwood.
A local sheriff believes as time goes by, they'll find out the suspect may have been responsible for other fires as well. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announcing more than $700 million in humanitarian aid this morning for Ukraine. Blinken continues to meet with President Zelensky in Kyiv. House Speaker Mike Johnson pulling government funding bills after GOP support collapsed.
We have two obligations right now. Congress has a lot of responsibilities, but two primary obligations. Responsibly fund the government and make sure that our elections are free and fair and secure.
A vote was scheduled for Wednesday, but over a dozen Republicans withdrew support. A developing story we're following this morning out of Texas, where a Pakistani man has been indicted on charges. He was trying to orchestrate an elaborate murder-for-hire plot, targeting several politicians, including former President Donald Trump. The Justice Department says Ashif Merchant has ties to Iran, started to recruit who he thought would be hitmen. They turned out to be undercover federal agents. A 6-year-old Florida girl now has a memory of a lifetime. Longwood, Florida police posting on Facebook about an encounter they had with a girl selling lemonade. LPD says someone called them to report the girl running an illegal lemonade stand and tying up traffic. Instead of shutting her down, police helped traffic untangle, bought her lemonade, took photos, and left. A man will spend the rest of his life behind bars here in Chicago for the killing of police officer Ella French and wounding her partner in 2021.
I don't know how many more lives we have to continue to lose to the graveyard or to the jailhouse. What I do know is that the men and women of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office stand ready to do their job to hold people accountable and bring justice to families.
Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox, an investigation is underway following a plane crash in Roselle. The single-engine craft went down yesterday at Irving Park and Williams. 2 in the plane were treated and released at the scene. A top aide to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson facing backlash over comments made about police on a pair of podcasts. In 2021, Kennedy Bartley used horrifically offensive language, calling police pigs. Alderman Anthony Napolitano says it's unacceptable.
It's absolutely disgusting. You're stoking the demonization of police officers.
Several city council members are calling for her immediate resignation. Cubs lost to the Dodgers 10-8. White Sox fell to Cleveland 6-4. The news, a service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older and thinking about Medicare? Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Call Stephen Tucker today. Visit healthinsurancementors.com or call 630-674-1551. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You're invited to join Chicago's Aid for Women, celebrating 46 years of empowering women to choose life. Join them Thursday evening, September 26th, at the Union League Club in downtown Chicago for their annual benefit dinner. The keynote speaker will be Trey Gowdy. The Praesidium Vitae Award will be presented to Mary Hallen Fiorito. Aid for Women provides many important services to women facing unplanned pregnancy who may be considering abortion. At Aid for Women, they believe that the solution to a crisis pregnancy is to remove the crisis, not the child. Aid for Women provides housing, parenting classes, mentoring, and genuine friendship to pregnant women in need, allowing them to choose life and setting them on the path to financial security and independence. To learn more about this event and to support this great organization, go to helpaidforwomen.org. That's helpaidforwomen.org. You can help save lives and souls from abortion today.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
A healthy fawn may be seen frolicking in its pen. Who would have not survived? Or a rehabilitated horse might be running in the pasture that had once been malnourished and not used to human kindness. Their success is from the dedicated volunteers at Paws Critter Crossing, an amazing not-for-profit organization that saves critters in crisis. Paws Critter Crossing, located right here in Chicagoland, is a rehabilitation center for injured and orphaned wildlife and a sanctuary for farm animals that have been abused or abandoned. Please help PCC raise desperately needed funds so they can continue their mission in giving these animals a second chance in life by registering for their fundraiser event on September 28th. Go to pausecrittercrossing.org and click on events. You can buy tickets for their dinner, which includes an open bar and entertainment. Experience the bidding excitement on their online auction, or just hit the donate option. Tickets are on sale now through September 20th. Tickets will not be sold at the door. PauseCritterCrossing.org. Click on events. No donation is too small.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
5:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this look at the roads, a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of that smile back? With the Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify, AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Kennedy inbound. 23 and climbing O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson on the break, Cicero to Kedzie. Dan Ryan in, jamming up already in the locals between 35th and the Chinatown feeder. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Warm day ahead, sun and clouds, 87. You may smell some of that wood smoke from the California fires drifting across the area this morning. Fairly normal with the jet stream where it is right now. Should be passing through shortly. Partly cloudy, 67 overnight. Partly sunny and warm, 84 tomorrow. 64 and clear at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan, and we have a special guest in the studio today. Amy Jacobson is here. Thanks for joining us.
I heard the segment though. You knocked it out of the park.
No, thanks so much.
I mean, really.
I do what I can.
If anybody knows women, it is Dan Proft.
That's those were Greg from Schomburg's words, and I think they were insightful. Accurate.
Just spot on, really.
As I mentioned before Mike Scott's newscast, I mean, I was just thinking about this. Does anything speak more to the record of Biden and Harris on border security than the fact that a small town in southwestern Ohio is the epicenter of the debate over illegal immigration? Of course, I'm talking about Springfield, Ohio. And, oh, by the way, I know it's all made up.
It's all fake.
Those residents that are concerned about public safety and public resources, those are, I don't know, AI generated or something. I don't know what the theory is that provides the basis to just sort of debunk the whole thing. But it turns out Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is sending $2.5 million of state aid and state troopers to Springfield. Right. I'm talking about Springfield, Ohio, of course. The governor said Haitian migrants are creating health and traffic issues. We've been hearing reports for days that illegal migrants who have no insurance are crashing into innocent Americans and simply driving off. These dramatic surges impact every citizen in the community, every citizen, said DeWine. Moms who have to wait hours in a waiting room with a sick child, everyone who drives on the streets, and it affects children who go to school in more crowded classrooms. So it appears to be real after all.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro interline. You could also text us on the same line. Yeah, because I was going back and forth with my liberal friend, who I love very much. But are you ready for this? She texted, be sure to please keep Bunky and Bubba safe from the pet-eating immigrants. I beg of you. And I sent back, actual footage of a woman eating a cat, stomping on it to death first and then eating it. And then she said, oh, is this real? And I said, well, yes, it is. And then she texted back, well, I actually think it's Antifa pretending to be illegal aliens eating ducks and cats.
Yeah, so there's no getting to people like that. By the way,
really? Antifa?
Here's another Antifa member, obviously. that made a call to the 911 non-emergency line in Springfield, Ohio.
Clark County Communications.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I got a question. This is a non-emergency line, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm sitting here. I'm riding on the trail going to my orientation for my job today, and I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hand. They got away. I couldn't make out the first 3 of the license plate, but I got the numbers. The last numbers was 9898, and it was a gray Toyota Tacoma they took off on. There was about 4 of them. There was 2 men, 2 women. I couldn't tell the age because I'm in a hurry going to this orientation, so I don't be late.
No, don't be late. But thanks for the call. So I don't want to dwell too much on this because the issue of illegal immigration, the rank order priority, pulling geese from the local pond is not the highest concern. But, I mean, it just speaks to what people are seeing and what they're reporting and what is true, and this effort to just debunk something that is shocking, I think, to people, is the way to debunk the whole sort of conversation about border security, the sensible conversation, and it's a way to deflect attention away from things like, I don't know, the murder and other violent crimes that are committed by people who are in this country illegally, all preventable crimes.
I know, it's so different. Like, you'll have a hurricane and 5 people will die, but then you'll see dogs stranded on the roof of a house, and people are like, oh, but the dogs. They don't care about they care about the people, but there's something different. It strikes a different chord when you're talking about animals.
Well, Springfield, one Springfield, Ohio resident who showed up at their most recent city council meeting a couple days ago, she is less concerned about the geese and the household pets and more concerned about her mother-in-law, who was killed by a person illegally in Springfield.
Everyone is talking about the death of ducks and cats in this town, but I'd like to talk about the death of one very special person, my mother-in-law, Kathy Heaton. On December 1st, I received a phone call that changed my life forever. She was collecting her trash can from her driveway when a car struck and killed her instantly. A task she had done over 2,000 times, spanning 4 decades in Springfield. That morning, though, a Haitian immigrant was allegedly driving recklessly when he struck and killed her. I say allegedly because to this day, there's been no punishment, not even for the expired tags on the vehicle he was driving. Months before she was killed, I began noticing the reckless driving and complete disregard for our driving laws by some members of the Haitian community. It made me angry. But now my anger has turned to fear for the safety of my family and the citizens of Springfield. I'd been to Haiti 14 years ago. My husband and I went, and it was my first time in a third world country. I sobbed when I saw the poverty living there, and I have great empathy and compassion for them, longing for a safe place to call home. But 14 years later, I'm living in fear in my own city. It's not safe. I am paralyzed with anxiety when I'm getting my children out of the car in any parking lot, walking on any sidewalk, and driving on any road in this town. I'm haunted by the faces I saw when I had to bear the news to my children and husband that she was dead. Their grandmother, the very person who tucked my 7-year-old twins into bed just 6 hours before on her 71st birthday, was never coming back. What everyone has feared is my reality, and it's my grief, and it should be yours as well. It saddens me greatly to think about leaving a place I've made a home, raised my children, became an active member of this community by providing medical care to the underprivileged and underserved, volunteering, serving on boards, and cheering for the success of the city. But just as the Haitians were seeking a safe place to call home, I now have found myself in that same situation, wanting to abandon this city and all my efforts above in search for a safe place to raise my family. We need to change the laws for immigrants wanting to obtain a driver's license in Ohio.
Racist.
Bigot.
Right. So these are the reasonable people, the people who play by the rules, the people who have been good citizens that are given the back of the hand and are, treated as propagandists or something. It's really remarkable how little concern is afforded someone like that woman and her family, and her very detailed story of what she has experienced, as well as the perspective. So it's not so easy just to say, "Oh, well, you just are afraid of the other." Really, they went to Haiti. I doubt they went there on vacation.
No, you don't. All the Clintons are the only one who go to Haiti for their honeymoon. But
Yeah.
I was in Haiti too, and
Right.
there are no stray animals around. I mean, there's maybe a few, but there's just skin and bones. But also too, it's hell on earth. There's burning garbage. There's garbage blocks the roadway. There's no respect for Mother Earth. There's no respect. I mean, the people are so nice, but they're trapped. I mean, I understand why they wanted to flee and start a new life, but that is a huge cultural difference than what we have here in America.
Now, there's a flip side to this story, too, in Springfield that I want to get to. But first, Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, two quick things. As far as the Haitian thing in Springfield, why don't we just have the moderators from the debate, fact check it? They did such a great job. And as far as taking 4 geese, I'm an outdoorsman. That violates no less than 5 federal laws. If I did that in Illinois, my hunting rights would be revoked, my guns would be confiscated, and they have the right to confiscate my car. But I guess I'm just from the wrong ilk.
Thanks for the call, Joe.
And there's this one social media guy who's there, and he goes to the DMV, and he's like, what do you have to do to get a driver's license? I mean, do they have to pass a driving test? And the lady would not answer any of his questions because they don't know the rules of the road, obviously.
Well, I mean, first of all, the idea of getting a driver's license is problematic. I mean, the idea of providing any of the privileges of citizenship is problematic, too. But, I mean, these are the kind of conversations that are just being ignored as the doors are thrown open and people sign up on the CBP One app, and the next thing you know, they're in Springfield, Ohio. They're in Cleveland, Tennessee. Add Diana Garcia to the list of people who were murdered by people in this country illegally. Preventable crime, young women that should be alive. Diana Garcia, 25, of Cleveland, Tennessee. A 41-year-old Cuban migrant arrested 30 miles from the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas is being transferred back to Cleveland, Tennessee police custody, where he'll be charged with murdering Garcia. She was found dead inside a residence. This guy was named the primary suspect, and now they've got him. What's the story on this guy? First crossed the U.S.-Mexico border on August 5th of 23 through San Ysidro, California. Used the CBP One app. That's that CBP One app that allows people coming to this country illegally from Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico, Haiti to schedule appointments at the border for their release with parole. And that's exactly what happened with this guy. He was arrested in February of this year on domestic violence charges, but ICE didn't file a detainer requesting custody of him. And so off he goes, makes his way to Tennessee, where he sets upon this 25-year-old woman and murders her. And now we're requisitioning him back, or Tennessee is requisitioning him back from the border to face murder charges. This is your immigration system.
312-642-5600. You could text us at the same line.
And so the question is, how does this persist? It seems like there is an overwhelming commonsensical consensus about this among the electorate. But it's a little bit more complicated than that, it turns out, because so many of our fellow Americans have given over to sentimentality, which is to say barbarism. And let me give you an example of that. I don't like to comment on a parent's grief over the loss of a child, but Aiden Clark's father has presented himself and his views on the topic. Aiden Clark, we mentioned him before. He was the 11-year-old that was killed on a bus in Clark County in Springfield, Ohio, native. This occurred when a migrant driving a vehicle that veered into the lane that the bus was in, causing the crash that killed Aiden Clark and injured 24 of the 52 students on the bus, sending them to hospitals in the region. Well, Mr. Clark doesn't want his son used for, for political ends, and that's fair. But well, listen to what he has to say and make your own decision.
I wish that my son, Aiden Clark, was killed by a 60-year-old white man. And I bet you never thought anyone would ever say something so blunt. But if that guy killed my 11-year-old son, the incessant group of hate-spewing people would leave us alone. The last thing that we need is to have the worst day of our lives violently and constantly shoved in our faces. But even that's not good enough for them. They take it one step further. They make it seem as though our wonderful Aiden appreciates your hate, that we should follow their hate. And look what you've done to us. We have to get up here and beg them to stop. Using Aiden as a political tool is, to say the least, reprehensible for any political purpose. And speaking of morally bankrupt, politicians Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump, they have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They can vomit all the hate they want about illegal immigrants, the border crisis, and even untrue claims about fluffy pets being ravaged and eaten by community members. However, they are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies. To clear the air, my son, Aiden Clark, was not murdered. He was accidentally killed by an immigrant from Haiti.
Well, just a point of order, Mr. Clark. The 35-year-old that caused that accident that killed Aiden Clark and injured a dozen other students on that bus has been charged with vehicular homicide. So, pardon me, excuse me, but that's a fact. And I don't, I'm sure there are intemperate things being said about Haitian migrants or Venezuelan migrants and Cuban migrants, people from other countries, Eastern European migrants, and so forth. They're always, it's just 350 million people. You're going to hear some knuckleheads say some things that are unhelpful and unwise and untrue. However, the woman who spoke at that same meeting that we just heard from about the death of her mother-in-law.
Yeah, who lost her mother-in-law by a Haitian immigrant.
Is she spewing hate? No, I
she's
don't.
Just saying the facts.
No, I don't think so. I don't think most people are spewing hate at all, including politicians who are trying to put human faces on this tragic choice we have made to put Biden and Harris in charge of the federal government, and Biden then putting Harris to write point on root causes at the border, and the approach is, as I said, to throw the doors open and come what may. So, but I mean, you're dealing with that idea, the idea that any sort of substantive criticism of this lawlessness, of this senselessness, 20,000 Haitian migrants drop shipped to Springfield, Ohio, is spewing hate, is ridiculous. I'm sorry. You think we want to be telling these stories about dead kids? Corey Woodlawn.
Thanks for taking the call, Dan. Morning, Amy. I think this is being done, to be quite frankly with you. The government has an insatiable appetite to spend, and they're going to get these immigrants to dumping them into these economies because these corporations have told them for years they have all these millions of jobs that Americans won't do. And to grow our economy, to try to get away from this $35 trillion of debt, to continue to keep spending, they're going to get these migrants. But the damage that they will do to the American culture will be unmeasurable. We need to get Trump in office. These guys have to go home. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Corey. All right, coming up at 6:06, will Caitlin Clark follow Taylor Swift's lead and be another childless cat lady for Kamala?
God.
6:06.
It's the year of the cats. Meow, meow. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A plane crash being investigated in Roselle. A man convicted of killing CPD officer Ella French, sentenced to life in prison. Mayor Johnson under fire, as well as a top aide over anti-police comments. Johnson for hiring her. Chicago hiring freeze won't include police and fire now. And the judge rules the Trump Tower is a public nuisance. Cubs lose to the Dodgers. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
A first, way up above us in space. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A non-NASA private spacewalk just underway.
Commander Jared Isaacman now emerging from...
That's the SpaceX feed on the Polaris Dawn mission featuring 4 civilian astronauts, including billionaire Jared Isaacman, who partly funded this.
They tested these EVA suits extensively before they depressurized the cabin because once you start depressurizing the cabin, if you detected a leak in the suits and had to repressurize the cabin, then you blow your opportunity to take the spacewalk.
That's Fox's Jonathan Seri. Francine is now a tropical storm full of rain moving into Mississippi and Alabama after hitting Louisiana as a Category 2 hurricane, causing some flooding and more than 400,000 power outages in those states. It's back on the road today for the former president and vice president going to battleground states. Harris will rally in North Carolina. Trump will be in Arizona after their first and perhaps only debate.
It was a great, we had a great debate. We had great poll numbers on the debate.
But will they face off again?
So far, Trump has been non-committal, even claiming Harris only wants a second debate because she lost. Harris Wall's 2024 principal deputy campaign manager Quentin Fulks told CNN Trump doesn't want a second debate because he lost. And as we wait to hear whether there will actually be another debate between the candidates at the top of the ticket, all eyes will be on the vice presidential candidates up next to debate on October 1st.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. The day after Taylor Swift endorsed Vice President Harris in an Instagram post, the pop superstar added to her huge collection of awards, winning 7 MTV Video Music Awards, including the biggest one, Video of the Year, for her song Fortnite with Post Malone.
Directing this video and putting it together and writing it was the most wonderful experience.
She also thanked her boyfriend, NFL star Travis Kelce, for being on the set, cheering her on, filming the video. America's listening to Fox News.
64 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for killing Chicago police officer Ella French and wounding her partner in 2021.
I don't know how many more lives we have to continue to lose to the graveyard or to the jailhouse. What I do know is that the men and women of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office stand ready to do their job to hold people accountable and bring justice to families.
Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox following the sentencing of Emonte Morgan, who will spend 2 terms of natural life in prison after he was found guilty in March of killing French and seriously wounding Officer Carlos Yanez Jr.
Even though he's sentenced to life without a chance of parole, I don't think it's justice. I mean, I'm not going to get a closure.
In other news, we're following an investigation is underway following a plane crash yesterday in Roselle. The craft went down at Irving Park Road in Williams. 2 in the plane were treated and released. A man has been arrested and charged in the fatal shooting of a liquor store employee in Glenwood. Glenwood police announcing Wednesday 27-year-old Antonio Dignas of Calumet City has been charged with first-degree murder in the death of Naveen Singh. Top aide to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson facing serious backlash over comments she made about police on a pair of podcasts. While appearing on a podcast in 2021, Kennedy Bartley used horrifically offensive language while calling police pigs. Alderman Anthony Napolitano says it's unacceptable.
It's absolutely disgusting. You're stoking the demonization of police officers.
Alderman Nick Sposato says Bartley has to go immediately.
Very disappointed that somebody like this, who should have been vetted properly, obviously was not vetted. She's got to go, plain and simple.
Several other city council members are also calling for her resignation. Mayor Brandon Johnson making changes to his city hiring freeze.
We don't want to have to cut any services. I made that very clear. I've been an organizer, I've been an elected official, and I know the damage that has been done over the course of bad decisions. But as a city, we have to be prudent and fiscally responsible in this moment.
Johnson's administration had announced the hiring freeze would impact police and fire, but now apparently it will not. Francis Lee is an econ professor at Loyola University, Chicago, and says economists have a saying about hiring freezes in cities and municipalities.
We can achieve full employment if we hire half of the population to dig a hole and the other half to fill it. If we're eliminating these kind of government jobs, then yes, by all means, do the hiring freeze.
Chicago government has also enacted restrictions on travel and overtime outside public safety operations. Cubs gave up 5 home runs in a 10-8 loss to the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Cubs visit the last-place Rockies starting tomorrow night. White Sox lost to the Guardians 6-4. The News, a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago, over $800 million in sales. You'll get the most value for your home, 708-828-0000. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's tragic story made national headlines this year. Now, Jonathan was shot and killed by a career criminal during a traffic stop. Jonathan, who's just 31 years old, leaves behind his wife Stephanie and 1-year-old son Ryan. Now, nothing will ever replace the loss of a husband and a father, but the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to pay off the mortgage on the Diller family's home. Please commit to $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Do you just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free, it's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
This is Matt Walsh, top-charting podcaster, best-selling children's author, world-renowned DEI consultant, and now giant movie star. You can't see my face on the radio, but you can see it on the big screen in Am I Racist, hitting theaters nationwide on September 13th. Advance tickets are on sale right now at amiracist.com. Me and the same group of white guys who brought you What is a Woman are back, this time asking America's next big question and delivering America's next big comedy. Get theaters, showtimes, and advance tickets at amiracist.com.
Am I Racist? Rated PG-13. Buy tickets now.
6:08, let's check the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. In this update, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee. Hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. Eden's at 20 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, 33. O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson, 35 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 20 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle. Accident on the Tri-State northbound approaching Ogden Avenue. You're backed up to the Hinsdale Oasis. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Very warm day, sunshine this morning, followed by some sun and clouds for the afternoon. The high today 87, partly cloudy tonight, low 67, partly sunny tomorrow, the high 84, and then clouds and sun on Saturday, the high 83. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
64 at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Sports and politics, sports and politics, arrogance and ignorance, or something, blah, blah, blah.
Sports and politics, and sports and politics, and sports and politics.
Technical workshop again today over at the AM 560 World Headquarters. It's just incredible, really. All right, we'll
I had to do a show for 4 hours once like this.
We'll tape this whole setup back together and see if we can stay on the air. Tyreek Hill, he's now overplaying his hand a bit.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill continuing to talk about his temporary detention after being pulled over for speeding. By the way, the report I saw was that the officer sort of sight guessed that he was going about 60 miles an hour. So, I mean, I know it was a side street, but I mean, he wasn't doing 125 or something crazy like there was, like people were speculating. Okay, so that's number one. It shouldn't have gone down the way it did. We've talked about it, but now Tyreek Hill is, again, I think he's overplaying his hand a little bit when he's starting to get involved in Miami police personnel decisions.
He got to go, man, because in that instant right there, like, not only did he treat me bad, you know what I'm saying, he also treated my teammates with, disrespect. He had some crazy words towards them, and they ain't even do nothing. Like, what did they do to you? They just walking on the sidewalk. So, I don't know, bro. Like, he gotta go, man. And not too many times that cheaters say people gotta go, but you out. What they say on Wild 'N Out? Gone. No comprende.
All right. Thank you.
No comprende. Was that some sort of
dig at the officer?
I guess. I don't know. Anyway, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. There's a couple of things with Tyreek. One is, in the moment, you could have said, especially since you say you have respect for law enforcement, and again, I don't think he was particularly obstreperous during the stop until he did not comply with the officers knocking on his window a couple times to keep the window down so they could see inside the car. He could have said, you know what, I think the officer was a little more aggressive than he needed to be, but I should have also. I probably didn't need to call my agent over a routine traffic stop for speeding. I obviously was speeding. They knocked on the window. I didn't immediately respond, and I should have. I should, frankly, know better than to roll my window up when they can't see inside because of the nature of the tint of my window, and just keep my hands there and just let the officers do their business and let me get on my way as soon as possible to get to the game. He could have said that. He could have just, sort of provided an honest characterization of what happened where both parties, I think, bear some fault. But instead he did that. And the other thing about Tyreek, too, he's one of these guys that's living in a bit of a glass house. And so now you're going to cross swords with law enforcement. And what are people going to do? People are going to learn that Tyreek Hill has had run-ins with the law before. And again, prior bad acts are not admissible in the sense, even in the court of public opinion, I would say, in terms of making any comment about his behavior on that day with that traffic stop. But, it's just bad form.
Well, and his agent, too, came out and said the same thing, like this police officer should be taken off the job. That's not his business. Stop talking about it.
It can be anybody's business. I assume Tyreek has a place in Miami, so he's technically a taxpayer. It can be his business. I'm just saying,
but he's using his platform to besmirch the cop. I mean, make the cop take him off, put him on administrative leave for a few days, and let him go back to his job.
I don't.
They were both in the wrong.
It's a separate thing, but it's just injudicious of him to comment.
Yeah.
It's unwise to further insinuate himself into this when he bears some of the responsibility for that escalating when it didn't need to. And, so again, Tyreek Hill was thrown off the team at Oklahoma State after he had pled guilty to a domestic violence charge.
Oh, that's right.
Tyreek Hill was investigated for battery involving a former girlfriend and her son. Investigated. I'm not passing judgment on Tyreek, although he did plead guilty to that domestic violence charge, and he admitted he made a mistake, and he was in college, and okay, fine. But I mean, is that really the conversation you want to have about your character versus law enforcement, and you really want to get into that? You think that's helpful to you? I mean, my point is he's living in a bit of a glass house, and he's unnecessarily throwing stones when he bears some responsibility for this viral traffic stop. And with respect to his teammates, yeah, I mean, his teammates didn't do anything wrong per se, but, when you have an officer who's got a person handcuffed and they're engaged in a detention, and you're an obvious friend of the person who is being detained, and you're walking up on police, they're going to tell you to stand back, to get back for their own safety. They don't know that that don't necessarily mean any harm, or you're just trying to ascertain what's going on in the situation.
Yeah, because then if one person starts, others might stop too, and
the whole thing is just. I find the whole thing just the sort of cultural posturing that's done when common sense would do just fine, when being reasonable and acknowledging what is true, how things went down, and de-escalating these matters would be so much more productive for all parties involved. But that's just not our culture. Our culture is to try to try to create tempests from teapots. And now Tyreek Hill is starting to do that. I think he'd be wise to ratchet it down. Ralph and Rantoul.
Yeah, I already ordered my T-shirt with him on the ground that says, "I can't speed, I can't speed." So here's the funny part, okay? This is a moron who plays in a professional sport that has replays after everything. My foot was in, my foot was out. That's a first down, right? And he kind of forgets that police these days wear body cams. So he's going to get out and lie, knowing that, go to the tape, that it's going to be shown for him to be a liar. He's just that dumb, and he thinks that his money insulates him from showing how dumb he is. But in the end, he's just dumb.
Thanks for the call, Ralph.
I think he's more arrogant than dumb.
Frank in St. Charles.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, the previous caller was right on. I've made hundreds of traffic stops when I was working. If you watch back the tape on this, the cop goes up, taps on the window, and he has an attitude right off the bat. 7 times he says, "Don't be knocking on my window like that. Don't be knocking on my window like that." 7 times. Now, if that doesn't lead to a bad situation and a bad relationship, I don't know what does. The cop probably would have let him go once he found out he was a famous football player. If he was polite, he'd say, okay, maybe even ask for an autograph. But no, he's got to start with his bad attitude.
Thanks for
Well, you can even hear the cops saying, too, I'm not playing this game. In fact, you're getting out of the car. Like, you can see his anger escalate because he's being disrespected so much by Tyreek Hill.
I agree. But as I said before, and I'll stick by that, once Hill did comply, even though he was a little bit lethargic in complying, and they had sight on him in the car, then just get about the business of giving him the ticket and letting him go. They didn't need to escalate. When somebody is being uncooperative but then complies, your job as a cop is essentially to be the bigger person. If there's not a situation that in which you're endangered or you have any reasonable fear. So at the point that he's clearly on the phone with his agent or somebody talking about being pulled over, first of all, who cares? The cops don't care. You can call phone whatever friend you want.
You can call your mother. It doesn't matter.
And you've got 4 cops there, so one can keep an eye on him. The other goes and runs his license, or writes the ticket, whatever you want to do, but just leave it there.
I mean, Tyreek, he was disobeying lawful orders, and the cop was being overly aggressive. It's a bad combination.
Phil and Darian.
Hey, good morning, guys. Listen, guys, don't pander, okay? The cop was only being overly aggressive because he had to. It started off with the window. Now, I know, Dan, you just said, once he rolled the window down, he should have, he should have offered him some tea and crumpets.
Well,
come on. It didn't stop there, Dan. It didn't stop there, okay? Okay, so he rolled down the window. He showed that he was still going to be combative by not getting out of the car when he was asked to get out of the car. Get out of the car. Still not going to do it. Still not going to follow orders. What should this cop have done? I agree with 99% of the things that you guys say, but don't pander, guys. This cop was stoked, just like a fire. He was stoked right from the beginning, Dan. Why don't we just say, if he just would have rolled down the window and complied with the officer? He didn't comply. He was forced to comply, and he didn't like that he was forced to comply. Why don't we just stick with our message and say, be respectful to police? It don't matter what color you are. Okay, we all agree with that. It don't matter. But anyway, have a nice day, guys.
Thanks for the call, Phil. Well, I agree. That is, of course, it's to comply and be respectful, or commenting on how he was not complying. But the response to noncompliance needs to be proportional. And the police, as I said, are trained in de-escalation. They're trained in, dealing with somebody who's being a smartass or obstreperous, but not threatening. And so I still will say that I think it was unnecessary to rip him out of the car and have him face down on the pavement and escalate the situation. I don't think it was going to go there. If the guy had just said, listen, I'm going to say this one more time, just sit there and be quiet, keep that window down, and follow what we say, period. A little bit of authoritative direction, rather than I'm not taking this anymore and we're ripping him out of the car. A little bit like
escalate quickly.
Yeah, a little bit of like, listen, buddy, enough, okay? Let's not make this any more uncomfortable for either one of us than it has to be. So just stop, be quiet, do what we say, and let's get on the other side of this. I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation. Bob and Wilmette.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. I'd like to put a positive spin on this whole ugly incident and take the top two thuggish athletes in professional sports, they being Tyreek Hill and Scotty Scheffler, and making some type of a buddy on the road movie.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, buddy cop movie. Buddy cop movie, perfect. Tyreek Hill and Scotty Scheffler. By the way, Tyreek Hill could take a page out of Scotty Scheffler's book, and when that cop, I think, overreacted. I don't think. I mean, I do think that's what I
wish we
said.
had a body cam on that.
Well, we did. We saw enough to know, and we got the context enough to know. Way overreacted. But is Scheffler wanting to sue the department? Is he calling for the cop to be fired? No.
He handled it with poise and grace. Just let
Right.
it go.
But that's why it would be such a good buddy cop movie, because it's it's oil and water, the two of them, personality wise, and so then the hijinks ensue.
Yeah. I mean, he's
like Kevin Hart and The Rock.
Scotty Scheffler had it worse. But he was taken to the station, booked, put in the clothes, and had a mugshot taken, and was thrown in the clank. Whereas Tyreek Hill just they let him go.
Jack in Whiting, Indiana.
Good morning. Everybody's starting this baloney about knocking on a window. Okay, let's go back a little further. Why did he get pulled over? Oh, he was speeding and driving recklessly.
All
right, so why don't we show the camera, the car cameras of the video of the chase? And I'm sure it went on for 50 feet before they pulled him over. I'm so tired of hearing this stuff. If he would have just rolled down the window, yes sir, no sir, here's my license, and be on your way.
I got it. I agree. But it's just exhausting to have to say the same thing over and over again. By the way, we do have video of him going by the officer on the motorcycle, and then the officer gives chase.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on an open road basically. There was no traffic, and he's speeding, so give him a speeding ticket. If he was, 40 miles over, whatever the threshold is in Florida, I should probably know that, then maybe it's your reckless driving citation as well. But I mean, from what first of all, there wasn't that much of a chase. I don't think he was going, that fast. He wasn't weaving in and out of traffic. He wasn't up on two wheels like a scene from the Dukes of Hazzard. He was jumping over a river. And he was, he immediately pulled over when the cop got behind him. So, yeah. Brian in Byron, Indiana.
I'm just calling, what he did was wrong, and there are a lot of problems with this whole case, but everybody seems to, including the cops, have forgotten about civil disobedience. You are allowed to disobey to a certain extent as long as you're not violent about it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Thanks for the call. Yeah.
That's the name of your high school band, Civil Disobedience, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was a
cover for who? Ricky Martin?
No, it was a John Mellencamp tribute band. I fight authority, authority always wins.
Oh,
You
yeah,
killed
that's
it
right.
Boy, did I pull that out or what?
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's good.
That's pretty quick on your feet. That's Dennis Miller quality right there, I'll tell you that. I do want to get to...
I thought we were talking about Caitlin Clark.
Well, I do want to get to
deciding
Caitlin
whether
Clark.
or not to keep or burn my Caitlin Clark shirt. Such a tease.
All right. Well, let's see if we get a couple more calls in. But Caitlin Clark, fresh on the heels of Taylor Swift being announcing her endorsement as a childless cat lady for Kamala.
Yeah, after much time she spent reading on the candidate. Yeah, sure.
She did her research.
She did her research. I read articles. I did my research. Signed your childish cat lady, because this is all about the year of the cat.
Who reads bedtime stories to who? Do you think Travis reads them to her or vice versa? All right. So Caitlin Clark was asked about this.
Oh God.
Because she
so worried.
She pulled a
what?
She pulled a Brittany Mahomes. She liked Taylor Swift's tweet. She liked it. So does that mean that Caitlin Clark is another childless cat lady for Kamala? The sports press corps is on it.
Caitlin, you liked an Instagram post last night from Taylor Swift that got a lot of attention. And I'm just curious if you could tell us what that post meant to you, and if you are in fact potentially going to endorse Kamala Harris. Thank you.
I think for myself is, I have this amazing platform, so I think the biggest thing would be just to encourage people to register to vote. I think for myself, this is the second time I can vote in an election. At age 22, I could vote when I was 18, so I think do that. That's the biggest thing I can do with the platform that I have, and that's the same thing Taylor did. And I think continue to educate yourself with the candidates that we have, the policies that they're supporting. I think that's the biggest thing you can do, and that's what I would recommend to every single person that has that opportunity in our country.
Go Scott, man.
Nice pump fake.
Yeah.
Kayla Clark blew right past the sports press corps. You thought she was going to go in for the shot, and then she just...
and then she dished it out to the side.
Dribbled past you.
Yeah, an assist.
Well,
did she mention anything about cats?
No.
I keep singing that song. Al Stewart, The Year of the Cat. Have we ever talked about cats more in our lives than this past 2 weeks?
Well, I wanted to get more into the WNBA, which is
please. The WNBA
statement I never thought I would make. But there's an additional controversy here, and it somewhat involves Caitlin Clark, and it also involves race. So, and more importantly than anything, it involves cultural posturing, which we were just talking about with respect to Tyreek Hill. So there's the nexus. See how dots connect? Mm-hmm. Kathy Engelbert is the commissioner of the WNBA, I'm told. She was on CNBC, and she was asked about some of the chippiness going on between some of the players in the WNBA, and particularly in the direction of Caitlin Clark, I would add, and this was how that exchange went down.
Let's go to that question, which raises some sensitivities of rivalries between players. In the case of Angel Reese, who's just had to shut it down because of a wrist injury, Caitlin Clark, who's continuing to play. Rivalry that goes back to their college days, presumably, where I guess some trash talking entered in. But now it seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try and stay ahead of that, try and tamp it down, or act as a league when two of your most visible players are involved, not personally, it would seem, but their fan bases are involved in saying some very uncharitable things about the other?
Well, the one thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like the WNBA players are really looked at now as kind of cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another. So the social media is different today than it was in 1979 when it didn't exist. But, I always tell the players, I was told a long time ago, if someone's typing something in and you wouldn't ask their advice, ignore it. So it's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players much more so than they were 5 years ago because they see the benefit of having women and diverse women representing their brand.
I agree. Rivalries are good. Manning and Brady, the prime one among them.
So any problem with what Kathy Engelbert said?
Oh, she was spot on.
Really? Hello?
Did anybody bring up race when it was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson's rivalry?
Yes.
'Cause I loved that when I was a kid. I thought that was fascinating.
Chicago Sky forward Breonna Turner. It's been happening since I got drafted in 2019. It was probably for sure happening even before that. It's unfortunate. We can try to call it out on our own pages. How do you convince adults that they shouldn't be racist, homophobic, and sexist? And Turner said she was disappointed but not surprised by Engelbert's comments you just heard. At the end of the day, the WNBA is a business, and her comments reflected her seeing us as part of the business instead of humans, instead of and seeing our humanity. And other people, whether Teresa Weatherspoon is the coach of the Sky or the Mystics.
Yeah.
Who's the coach?
He's
She's the coach
He's
of
the
the Sky.
WNBA.
Yeah.
New coach of the Sky.
Okay. She said, we cannot tolerate racism or hatred in any way. That's what I see and what I feel. Huh? The whole point is, I mean, do you think Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, you think she's like pro homophobia and racism? If you're not condemning it explicitly, I hereby condemn all racist or racist adjacent remarks on social media. Then somehow you're platforming it. The whole thing is, but this is the point, to all these bedwetting little girls in the WNBA that are identitarian political actors as well in uniform. You know, you have to say the words. You have to posture the way that we posture, so we all posture together. Nobody's for racism. Nobody's for any of this. It's just so silly. It's very much like what Tyreek Hill's doing. It's so unwise. It is so silly. But you have to recite the words. Otherwise, you're on the other side. You have to posture with us. Pathetic.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, the big guy did that 911 thing yesterday. We'll talk about it.
All right, but now let's head into the newsroom. A little late, but always here. Mike Scott.
6:35, 64 degrees. The world's first all-civilian spacewalk taking place this morning as part of the ambitious Polaris Dawn mission.
EV1 is go. EV2 is go. Support 1 is go. Support 2 is go.
SpaceX mission launching 4 people into orbit, including an American billionaire, Jared Isaacman. House Speaker Mike Johnson polling support of a government funding bill after some GOP support collapsed.
No vote today because we're in the consensus building business here in Congress with small majorities. That's what you do. That's what I've been doing since I became Speaker. We're having thoughtful conversations, family conversations within the Republican conference, and I believe we'll get there.
Hurricane Francine, now a tropical storm after making landfall in Louisiana. Francine, which at one point was a Category 2 storm, hit Louisiana Wednesday afternoon. A man suspected of starting the line fire in Southern California has been arrested and is in custody. San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department saying Justin Halstenberg was arrested Tuesday. A man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for the killing of Officer Ella French and the wounding of her partner in 2021. Monte Morgan's brother Eric also pled guilty to charges. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison. A Warrenville man charged after allegedly shooting his wife 6 times, killing her. Warrenville officers responded to a home on Mulberry Court, met at the door by Stephen Kramer. According to police, a verbal argument between the two turned physical, and Kramer allegedly opened fire on her. He will be back in court on October 7. The University of Illinois system setting a record for enrollment this fall. 98,000 students enrolled in the system at Urbana-Champaign, Chicago, and Springfield. Cubs lost to the Dodgers 10-8. White Sox lost to the Guardians 6-4. The news, a service of Valdecast.com for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you?
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
What a waste of time, money, and vacation days. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if you've had a bad knee or hip replacement surgery, you know exactly what I'm talking about because sometimes the surgery doesn't even work. But there is an alternative, QC Kinetics. Check it out before you go under the knife. QC Kinetics uses your own body's properties to repair damaged joint tissue due to arthritis or an injury. Folks, it's regenerative medicine. Think about it. If you cut your hand, it eventually heals. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself with a free consultation. And what's really cool is the fact that Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, the National Medical Director and former orthopedic surgeon, is located right here in the Chicago area. Call now to end your chronic pain and learn more about QC Kinetics. They have new locations in Gurnee and Crystal Lake. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
641, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's already got almost black numbers on this, heavy and slow already. Lake Cook Road to the junction. 39 minutes, 1 hour on the Kennedy, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike, right now, we'll call it 1 hour from 390 into the old post office. You're on the brakes, Manheim to East Avenue. Outbound Stevenson disabled vehicle sitting on the right-hand shoulder. It was a DUI investigation, according to police on the scene. Car still there on the shoulder, just causing some residual delays between Pulaski and Central. Dan Ryan, 35, from 95th inbound at 51st in the locals. You're hitting the brakes this morning. Traffic is a service of Robert Half. 9 of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals utilize award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Warm with sunshine throughout much of the day. Some high clouds, high 87. Partly cloudy and 67 overnight. 64 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, as important as what transpires during the debate is the coverage of the presidential debate after it happens. It's interesting what aspects of the debate people seize on and sort of get outsized discussion after the debate. And what I'm saying, in addition to the performance of ABC's moderators,
disgusting,
is and maybe in part because, of course, it just happened to be the day before the 9/11 anniversary, is Afghanistan, 9/11, national security, abortion too. Those seem to me the topics that are being most discussed since the debate, don't you think?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on the same line.
For example, this line that Kamala offered when she raised the specter of Charlottesville and J6 and so forth, not received particularly well, and is, again, probably a little tone deaf given that the 9/11 anniversary was the following day.
Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
Yeah.
That just did not sit well with a lot of people.
Sort of glosses over Pearl Harbor and 9/11, doesn't it?
Yeah, 3,000 killed in the World Trade Centers. 40, passengers died on the planes, and she just says, just because she was politicizing it, anything to bash Trump, paying over history to get him.
Well, and it speaks
Shame on her.
So it also speaks to our national security, because this is what we remember: the terrorist attack. Islamist extremists, Islamo-fascists. And what about those Islamo-fascists in Afghanistan? Lot more talk about, there was in the run-up because of the Gold Star families who spoke out, and because of this silly decision that Kamala and the D.C. Press Corps made attempting to suggest that Trump was out of line meeting and taking pictures with the families at Arlington when he was invited there, and they wanted to take pictures, and so that you got even more commentary from Gold Star families, which I don't really think is in Kamala Harris's political interest. And then this is recirculating too. Trump made this reference during the debate, and it was sort of funny, and it was sort of quick. He didn't tell the entire story, but you'll remember what he said about the Taliban.
He said, "Why do you send me a picture of my house?" I said, "You're going to have to figure that out, Abdul." And for 18 months, we had nobody killed.
So the story of Trump meeting with the lead terrorists of the Taliban,
Abdul.
This was recounted in some detail by Texas Congressman Wesley Hunt, who, by the way, West Point, flew Apache helicopters in theater in Iraq. Wesley Hunt told the story to Sage Steele on her podcast. Listen to the whole story.
My favorite President Trump story. This is my number one favorite of all time. When we were negotiating with the Taliban while President Trump was still the president, President Trump wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but he wanted a conditions-based withdrawal, meaning that you do what we tell you to do, and then we'll start pulling troops back slowly as long as you abide by our rules. It's President Trump and Mike Pompeo, and they are talking to Taliban leadership in the room, and they had one translator in the room. President Trump looked at the Taliban leader and said this: "I want to leave Afghanistan, but it's going to be a conditions-based withdrawal." And the translator translated. And he said, "If you harm a hair on a single American, I'm going to kill you." And the translator goes, and Trump goes, "Tell him that."
Yes.
Tell him what I said. Tell him what I said. Reached in his pocket, pulled out a satellite photo of the leader of the Taliban's home, and handed it to him.
Shut up.
Got up and walked out the room. Do you know for 18 months not a single American was killed in Afghanistan? That's the definition of strength. That's what I'm talking about. And so you could imagine that kind of sentiment being around the world. If we have an embassy in another country, no one's going to touch it, because they're going to be fearful that they'll get a Moab on their head. That's how President Trump rolls.
Wow, that's awesome.
I want Wesley Hunt to sub for Trump in the second debate. Who's with me? But I love it. So Trump was not being hyperbolic in that moment yet on the debate stage on Tuesday night. And point of fact, I wish he could tell. He sort of got around to what now Wesley Hunt colors in here, but I wish he could tell it with the power that Wesley Hunt told that story to Sage Steele. Pretty.
That's awesome.
Pretty impressive. On the issue of abortion, the other issue that's being hotly discussed, and you saw this in some of the focus groups of alleged undecided voters that we talked about a little bit earlier in the show. this is where Kamala shone, they're telling us, when she said, government stay out of women's health care decisions and so forth. I mean, these pedestrian lines you've been hearing for generations. I don't know what's so compelling about them. They're positively quotidian. But anyway, I thought Trump actually handled himself well on the issue and presented a reasonable position and corrected the misstatements that are being made as best as he could, because they will continue to be made by Kamala and the left. If she's going to make a misstatement about Charlottesville 7 years after the fact, then you can be sure they're not going to correct the record on abortion, which they're so counting on to whip the awfuls to the polls and have suburban women carry them to victory. This is what they think. But Students for Life, this debate is changing. It's not changing as fast as I want it to, but it's changing thanks to the contribution of organizations like Students for Life and young people that are, have some ingenuity. This is a young woman who is affiliated with a Students for Life chapter out in Maryland. She called one of those abortion mills in Maryland and posing as a pregnant woman who wanted an abortion. Take a listen, because, so much of the back and forth was, and the debunking that's going, quote unquote debunking that's going on, which is really just covering, is this idea that late-term abortions don't happen, live birth abortions don't happen. Okay.
Right, calling the Care Clinic in Bethesda, Maryland.
Thank you for calling Care. How can I help you?
I am looking to have an abortion.
How far along are you?
I'm 34 right now. I am in a pretty desperate situation. My boyfriend is kind of out of the picture now, so I don't really have any support.
An abortion at any stage is actually much safer than delivering a term pregnancy. It's a 4 to 5 day procedure. We do some basic lab work on you and start to dilate your cervix. After that, we do what we call the fetal injection. A needle is inserted through the abdomen and into the fetal heart, where lidocaine is injected, and that will completely numb the fetus so there's no pain. And then after that, we inject a medication called digoxin and another medication called KCL into the fetal heart, which will slow and then stop the fetal heartbeat. And then on that 4th day, depending on how your cervix is dilated, we'll break your water, and then we'll give you a medication called misoprostol. Misoprostol will sort of induce contraction and increase the dilation of your cervix. You're going to have contractions and cramping, and then we'll assist you in sort of pushing in the induction and then remove all of the products of conception. You're definitely going to feel discomfort and cramping and a lot of pressure, but we do give you fentanyl and Versed during the procedure. We specialize in later trimester care. Our doctor is very well versed in what he's doing, and he's very good.
So I'm not like a rare situation. Y'all help women this late in pregnancy all the time?
All the time.
Wow. And ABC News, they they owe voters a correction. Because in Minnesota, where that thing is from, they had 8 babies born alive and were allowed to die without life-saving care.
We had
a woman
in Illinois where the ground zero for this, because of Jill Stanek at Christ the King Hospital in Oak Lawn. Yes. I mean, she saw it. She was a whistleblower. I mean, the things that never happen that happen. Oh, it's just it's been debunked. Really? Well, tell me more about this debunking. Has this instance been debunked and that instance been debunked? It's like voter fraud. Never happens. Oh, no, it's not systemic. So it does happen. Now we're just arguing about whether it's in an acceptable tolerance. Yeah. So now we're doing the same thing. So babies that survive a botched abortion live. That does happen. Now we're just arguing about are the number of babies that are left to die after they survive a botched abortion, is that within an acceptable tolerance? The number of late-term abortions, 34 weeks? That doesn't happen. Or that's a minority. No, so we're saying
Lindsay Davis, who's sorority sisters with Kamala Harris, said, no, that's never happened. That does not happen. That is not a thing.
So late-term abortions. By the way, Kamala Harris voted against restrictions, all of these restrictions, voted against live birth abortion restrictions, late-term abortions, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Abortion on demand, all 9 months, taxpayer funded. No restrictions. That's the position. And so we were having the same thing. Oh, it's a small fraction of abortions that are late term. Oh, so now we're just talking about the acceptable tolerance. Oh, so it does happen. It does happen in the tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, depending on the year. And I note the woman that was on that call. No, she used the phrase, the procedure will make sure there is no fetal pain.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, what do you mean pain? It's just a mass of protoplasm. Is this like a human being or something? Why would pain be an issue? No, fetal pain. Not her pain, fetal pain. And then you have to go back to dehumanizing, talking about we'll clear out all the products after we've killed the child. So, at some point, you're going to have to, the Republican Party or Republican leadership or pro-life elected officials are going to have to talk about this in more stark terms and not just sort of go along with this sterile policy discussion where we use euphemisms to dance around what we're talking about, to not make it too uncomfortable for anybody. People being fake nice, spewing beautiful lies, that is the province of the left. And when the right responds in kind with that sort of rhetoric, we lose. We're talking past the issue here. You want to play that call, that exchange that young lady had with that abortion mill in Bethesda, Maryland, and see how uncomfortable that makes a lot of people who consider themselves pro-choice but reasonable?
We can make the phone call here.
Robert and Lyle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, hi, good morning. If you remember back during the debates when Barack Obama and Dick Durbin were trying to get their seat again, or Barack Obama was trying to get elected, they actually were on TV, and both of them said that when the baby's born and it's still alive, they don't do anything and they just close the door. And that was way back then. So do the math and figure it out. This has been going on for a long, long time. At any rate, I'm an author and I write books and I also do videos. I just recently did a video on this, which is a little more acceptable. Not on the idea of having an abortion, but the door between life and death. And everybody has to make this choice. And what they're doing is they're allowing people to have control over the government when they believe and do things that are less than what they believe in. And that's exactly what's happening today. You're allowing people to have that. So at any rate, that's my take on it.
Thanks for the call, Robert. Appreciate it. Matt, South Bend.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. My opinion rests with the moderators of how they were so critical of Trump. I mean, Trump was actually the only one showing unity for getting, everybody to understand the 50 years and how long it had been and it torn his country apart. He was showing unity, and that was never addressed by the moderators. I just want to also say that I'll be going to my granddaughter's second birthday in a couple weeks, and God bless her. I wouldn't consider anything that would make any much more joy than that. So God bless you and thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Good for you.
Tom in Oswego.
Good morning, Dan. I think the whole topic of abortion should be a difficult one and a big decision. But the thing that bothered me the most, Dan, about that recording that you played was when the lady talked about the fetus or baby as a product.
The products of conception.
And if we have gotten to the point where now we're calling it a product, which you're going to start hearing that used more and more, I think, that, politicians, they're going to start calling it a product instead of a baby or a fetus, because it doesn't sound so I don't know what you call it.
Right.
Yeah, right. And I think they're going to start using that phrase. But it's just sad that we've gotten to a point now. And again, it's a difficult decision, and I personally think it should be a hard decision to either have an abortion or not. It should be well thought out and difficult. But to call it a product, Wow, that just saddened me. It really did.
Thanks, Tom.
Guys. Thanks.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
We know what a woman is. And at Natural Womanhood, we believe that a woman's fertility is beautiful, powerful, and healthy, not something to be controlled or destroyed by doctors and big pharma. Women deserve better. Women deserve to know and claim the uniqueness of their natural female bodies. Women deserve access to authentic, holistic, and restorative reproductive health solutions. Women deserve to know they have real solutions beyond birth control for treating menstrual cycles issues or for family planning. Options without harmful side effects. Natural Womanhood produces high-quality, informative articles, podcasts, and videos to empower women to know and love their bodies. Find evidence-based information about birth control issues and alternatives, cycle issues like endometriosis, infertility, IVF, and more. Break free from big pharma, get healthier, learn how to work with your doctor to diagnose and treat cycle issues, or learn how to start conversations with resources from Natural Womanhood. Access the latest articles and podcasts, or even get a free consultation at naturalwomanhood.org. Visit naturalwomanhood.org today.
AM 560. The Answer.
No, we never got to the 9/11 thing.
Yeah, we'll get to
later on. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
7:07, we'll talk markets and economics with Scott the Cow Guy Shellady, 7:07.
Today it's going to be sunny, followed by some high clouds, a high of 87 degrees. It is 7 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
It's out of this world, literally. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The first non-NASA spacewalk just happened.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world.
That's billionaire Jared Isaacman, who went out on the capsule first, followed by a SpaceX engineer, part of a crew of 4 civilian astronauts on a mission that Isaacman partially funded. The day after they shook hands and stood almost side by side at a 9/11 commemoration ceremony in New York City. Former President Trump and Vice President Harris will go to battleground states. She'll rally in North Carolina. He'll campaign in Arizona after their first showdown Tuesday night.
We won the debate according to every poll, every single poll. I think that, are we going to do a rematch? I just don't know. But we'll think about it.
Harris supporters say she clearly won that debate. Even some Republicans have been critical of the former president's performance. Nearly 2 months after the Trump assassination attempt, the acting Secret Service director will give a classified briefing to lawmakers today in Congress. Republican in the House, Michael Waltz, is on a task force investigating and tells Fox they still want more info on the gunman.
What really radicalized him? What drove the motives? They keep telling us, well, we're making progress in getting into these multiple encrypted overseas accounts, but we're not getting any documents or what they're finding.
There's more anger at Israel and Gaza after an airstrike hit a school at a refugee camp, killing at least 18 Palestinians.
Refugee agency UNRWA reports 6 of the dead were on its staff. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the strike, saying what's happening in Gaza is totally unacceptable. Israel describes the incident as a precise strike on terrorists and insists it took measures to protect civilians from harm.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. 3 wildfires keep raging in Southern California, burning down homes from Orange to San Bernardino counties, leaving thousands evacuated from their homes. Francine's just weakened to a tropical depression, moving into Mississippi and Alabama. America's listening to Fox News.
.64 degrees, 7:02 is our time. On AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Overnight, 2 were seriously hurt after a boat they were on in Lake Michigan hit a break wall. Chicago Fire says that boat hit that break wall near the Playpen and the Ohio Street Beach. 2 from the boat were taken to nearby hospitals, 1 in critical condition, the other in serious condition. A man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for the killing of Chicago police officer Ella French and the wounding of her partner in 2021.
Even though he's sentenced to life without a chance of parole, I don't think it's justice. I mean, I'm not going to get a closure.
Officer Carlos Yanez Jr. on the shooting of himself and Officer Joshua Blass, who was shot at during a traffic stop in 2021. Imonte Morgan was sentenced to 2 terms of natural life in prison for the killing of French. His brother, Eric Morgan, also pleaded guilty to charges and was sentenced to 7 years in prison. A man arrested, charged in the fatal shooting of a liquor store employee in Glenwood. Glenwood police say 27-year-old Antonio Dignas of Calumet City has been charged with first-degree murder tied to the case of Naveen Singh. Top aide to Mayor Brandon Johnson facing backlash over comments she made about police on a pair of podcasts. While appearing on a cast in 2021, Kennedy Bartley used horrifically offensive language while calling police pigs. Alderman Anthony Napolitano says it's unacceptable.
It's absolutely disgusting. You're stoking the demonization of police officers.
Several other city council members yesterday called for her immediate resignation. A Glendale Heights teen accused of bringing a loaded gun into a school in Lombard. Prosecutors say a student at Glenbard East notified a security officer that he found a loaded handgun in the boys' bathroom Monday. Lombard police traced that gun back to a 14-year-old suspect and a Glendale Heights home. The teen was interviewed and then taken into custody. Cubs lost to the Dodgers 10-8. Seiya Suzuki and Cody Bellinger both homered in the losing effort. Chicago now 5 games back of the Mets for that final NL wildcard spot, and they take on the last-place Rockies tomorrow. White Sox lost to Cleveland 6-4. Caleb Williams down a couple of wide receivers during practice. Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze missed Bears practice with injuries yesterday. Odunze with a knee, but an MRI came up negative on any serious damage, according to the Bears. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is a family tradition. Online, papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Jerry Padgett, the second enlisted in the U.S. Navy and deployed multiple times to Iraq and Afghanistan until Jerry was catastrophically injured in an improvised explosive device blast. Now, Jerry received a new smart home thanks to our friends at the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Now, the home is in the foundation's Let Us Do Good Village. It's in Florida, and Jerry now lives more independently thanks to the specially adaptive technologies. Commit to $11 a month, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. Since 1969, we've been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows. From modern to traditional styles, Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your backyard right into your living space. Make your home feel brighter and more spacious. Our professional services, along with the best products like Marvin, are why we're proud of our 5-star reviews. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door experts in Chicagoland. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. The Kennedy at an hour 12. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Solid almost all the way in this morning. The Ike outbound accident left shoulder between Cicero and Manheim. Stevenson inbound jam Harlem to Kedzie. Right now it's 41 in from the Tri-State to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And on the Tri-State, a left lane blocked with an accident northbound approaching the Stevenson. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunny this morning, followed by some sun and high clouds for the afternoon. It'll be a very warm day. High today 87. Partly cloudy tonight, low 67. And then partly sunny, a warm day tomorrow, the high 84. Clouds and sun on Saturday, the high 83. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Sunshine in 64. Next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Not much detail on Kamalanomics on Tuesday night's debate, of course, because, you know, she is a cipher, and so you rely on political cant, the same sort of sloganeering that you've heard from politicians forever. Opportunity economy, hope, growth, and opportunity.
I grew up in the middle class. When he asked about, is life better than it is 4 years ago, she started talking about how she grew up in the middle class.
Yeah.
Diverted.
But to the extent that she offered specifics, to let her be clear, she's for fracking because she's for fracking and she's for fracking.
I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking.
Fact check. Good write-up on, no fact check from Muir or Lindsay Davis on that. It deserved one. The tie-breaking vote, as the Wall Street Journal opines, Joe Manchin must be laughing. She's taking credit for a provision in the quote-unquote Inflation Reduction Act that Joe Manchin wrote and the administration tried to sabotage. They're opposed to it. But this was what was required to get Manchin's vote, even though she and the big guy opposed it. She also claimed credit in the debate for the largest increase in domestic oil production in history. The Journal fact-checking. She might as well take credit for the sunrise. Since January of 21, U.S. oil production has increased by 2.1 million barrels a day versus 4 million during Trump's first 3 years before the pandemic caused prices to plunge. Almost all of the production increase under Biden was a bounce back from the pandemic slump. Most has occurred on private and state land in Texas's Permian Basin, much of which has come from tapping what are known as drilled but uncompleted wells that were drilled previously but not fracked because of the market uncertainty. She tries to sound like a friend of frackers by saying the U.S. has to reduce our reliance on foreign oil, and that's just administration speak for subsidizing electric vehicles, the ones she wants to mandate. Because the administration has eased sanctions, oil production from Iran and Venezuela has increased by nearly as much under Biden as U.S. production has. So this administration has been an energy policy disaster. But I got a T-shirt idea.
Oh, what is it?
If Kamala can frack her way to the top, so should be. If Kamala can frack her way to the top, so can Pennsylvania. Yeah, you don't like it?
No.
Just give it a shot.
Very misogynistic of you.
Is it? For more on this and perhaps other T-shirt ideas, we're pleased to be joined by Scott the Cow Guy Shellady, market specialist for Market Day Report, 10:30 to 1 p.m. and the Cow Guy Close, 1 to 1:30 p.m. both at RFD TV. Scott, thanks for joining us. Yeah.
All I can say is, what the frack?
Exactly.
Heyo. Oh, that's a better T-shirt. It's more
There you go.
marketable. Hashtag
Frack.
pound
She
what
can
the
frack her way
frack.
to the top. So can Pennsylvania.
But
Or why can't Pennsylvania? I don't know. We could work it on it. All right. So, hey, Scott, the opportunity economy. The feature of it is $50,000 tax credit for small businesses on the front end before she takes it all away on the back end if they do start a small business with increased corporate income taxes.
Yeah, I'd like to be in the room when a lot of these things were decided. Some of them weren't decided. She did obviously just cut and copy and paste what Biden had planned to do. But I tell you right now, what the big worry is what she'll do to American businesses with some of these taxes, with capital gains being one of them, and the other one, which is unbelievable. And I don't know if America really understands this tax on unrealized gains, but it's unbelievable that can even be a thing. That they're going to try to tax you on gains that you don't actually realize. So if your house goes up by $100,000 from one year to the next, they're going to want you to write them a check for $25,000. That's now I know it's only for people over a certain income, but how many times have we seen this? And it slowly but surely becomes part of the everyday lexicon, and everybody's got to be part of it. I can't, even if it's just for those ultra wealthy people. Well, you have to sell the building to pay the tax now because it went up in value. I mean, this is where what she's proposing, and okay, look, you're allowed to change your mind. I get that, but tell us why and how. That's all. Don't just say I kept my values, but I woke up one day and I don't like fracking because I want to get elected. That's really what it is. And I mean, I can't believe that the American people can't see through. It's comma chameleon. She is doing whatever she needs to do to try to get elected. 10 weeks ago, they were trying to get her off the ticket because she thought she was dragging Joe Biden down. Now they've exalted her, held her up high as the next coming. And I can't believe that everybody can't see the fact that, Donald Trump, he missed so many opportunities the other night.
He didn't prepare.
Well,
he didn't do his homework.
Let's do ours, and let's be a little specific here. So her tax hikes, the capital gains 20 to 28, 8 percentage point increase. Almost almost a two-thirds increase.
No, that's corporate. That's corporate tax.
No, corporate tax goes from 15 to 28. Capital gains from 20 to 28. Investment income tax from 3.8 to 5. Top income tax rate back to 39.6 from 37, and the unrealized goes from 0 to 25%. So, but hey, you got that $50,000 tax credit on the front end. Isn't that great? So, what would those sorts of tax rates, even setting aside the unconstitutional unrealized capital gains tax, 25%? I mean, it's just astoundingly stupid. But she proposed it, so. I mean, it's part of it, but just even the bumping the top rate back up, increasing the capital gains from 20 to 28, increasing corporate 15 to 28, increasing investment income tax 3.8 to 5. What would that do?
Well, under Trump, corporations came flooding back to the U.S. This is just going to push them all back to where they were before. They're going to leave. They don't have to stick. Wealthy people and corporations have the ability to move. A lot of poor people don't. So they're just going to up and go. It's going to be like you'll hear the sucking sound coming out of Illinois when people leave to go to Indiana. It's the same thing. And so I don't understand it's like I would like to be in the room because it just doesn't make any sense. They're going to lose their tax base just because they're rich. And how does anybody run a campaign saying, vote for me because I'm going to raise your taxes? That's never been done before either. So this is I am absolutely flabbergasted that the American people don't dismiss this out of hand. And again, she's been there for 3.5 years. She's driving the bus. Take us to where you want us to go. You're in charge. But no, they didn't do it then. They're not going to do it now. And I don't know how anybody could get fooled into thinking that she's not going to frack, even just because she says it.
I know.
Everything she does, her actions go against everything she says.
Well, she started the debate by punting the first question on the economy. is your life better off than it was 4 years ago? And she went into this spiel about how she grew up in the middle class and never answered the question.
The only people in this country that can say they're better off than they were 4 years ago are illegal immigrants.
Yeah, it's true. They're in a better place and they're getting everything paid for. What about her proposal for first-time homeowners to get $25,000?
Oh my word!
Oh
It's
my
the
God.
dumbest thing I've ever heard of my. Yeah, it's all she did was make house prices go up by $25,000. Thank you very much. I mean, subsidies where my wife comes from, her neighborhood, that's called a bribe, right? Money to change your behavior. This is all pie in the sky. And by the way, we need to remind everybody that we're broke. We're $35 trillion in debt.
They didn't bring that,
Right?
that
And so-
up at all.
No, they didn't. And she's already been proposing another $2 to $3 trillion in spending, and we don't have any money. She's standing in front of the American people arguing about where to put the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Well, something else too. Let's not forget she's from California. And what is the model there? I know she wasn't the governor, but she was a senator, and she's an ally of the political class there. She's been on board for all of the Californication of that state. And Elon Musk had an interesting exchange on All In podcast about building his facilities for Tesla, these gigafactories he's built around the world. California versus Texas and even China. Take a listen to what Musk had to say.
Talk about the difference between California and Texas, where you and I now reside. Texas, you were able to build the gigafactory. I remember when you got the plot of land, and then it seemed like it was less than 2 years when you had the party to open it.
Yeah. From start of construction to completion was 14 months.
14.
14 months.
Is there anywhere on the planet that would go faster? Is like China faster than that?
China was 11 months.
Got it. So Texas, China, 11 and 14 months. California, how many months?
And just to give you a sense of size, the Tesla Gigafactory in China is 3 times the size of the Pentagon.
Which was the biggest building in America?
No, there are bigger buildings, but the Pentagon's a pretty big one.
Yeah, or it was the biggest.
In units of Pentagon, it's like 3.
Okay, 3 Pentagons and counting.
Yeah.
Got it.
In 14 months. Just the regulatory approvals in California would have taken 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's the issue.
That is the issue, Scott.
I mean, could it be more plain? And that if everybody wants to live in California, that they absolutely should vote her in, because that's what we'll get. They patently don't like the country. They're trying to change the country's face, the tone of the country, and so again, if they can build a factory like that in what he said 13 months in Texas versus it would take 3 years just for the regulations in California. How come? I mean, this is common sense, folks. I mean, I don't understand why people can't see it. It's absolute common sense, but somehow the Democratic Party will get behind somebody like that and make her not look as scary, or make her ideas try to be more. They push all the Democrats to the center for every election anyway, and they'll make it look like she's not a danger, but she absolutely is, with her tax policies, what she wants to do with crime, what she wants to do with the border. And if you want more of the same, you vote for it and you'll get it. That's all I can say.
And but as long as the street gets its rate cut this month, then everything will be hunky dory, at least through the election.
Well, I mean, they've kept this economy together with duct tape and Band-Aids, and it's starting to unravel on them. And yeah, we'll get a 0.25% cut in the rates on the 18th of September this month. The market tried to throw its toys out of the pram per se yesterday, wanting more than that, but that's probably appropriate. But at the same time, the Fed's got to worry about inflation, and we had an inflation indicator that came through yesterday, core CPI, that came in a little bit hotter than expected.
Mm-hmm.
So if they start cutting rates like the rest of the country wants them to, we're going to have an inflation problem again. Anytime you see an inflation go above 6%, we went up to 9.1. When inflation in a country goes above 6%, 85% of the time, they've seen inflation come back, raise its ugly head again. Now, it happened to us, in the late 70s, early 80s too. So there's a pretty strong likelihood, 85%, that we're going to see inflation come back. And the way these people are begging for rate cuts, that could be the case. And number two, is cutting rates in September for a November election doesn't smell too good to me either.
Yeah, well, certainly if you don't change your ways, you'll generate the same results. Scott the Cow Guy, market specials for Market Day Report, 10:30 to 1. Cow Guy close 1 to 1:30, both at RFD TV. Scott, thanks as always.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his two business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Vestuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text SAVVY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text SAVVY to 42424. That's SAVVY to 42424.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor traditions, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, visit surroundchicago.com right now. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level. Visit surroundchicago.com today.
A healthy fawn may be seen frolicking in its pen. Who would have not survived? Or a rehabilitated horse might be running in the pasture that had once been malnourished and not used to human kindness. Their success is from the dedicated volunteers at Paws Critter Crossing, an amazing not-for-profit organization that saves critters in crisis. Paws Critter Crossing, located right here in Chicagoland, is a rehabilitation center for injured and orphaned wildlife and a sanctuary for farm animals that have been abused or abandoned. Please help PCC raise desperately needed funds so they can continue their mission in giving these animals a second chance in life by registering for their fundraiser event on September 28th. Go to pawscrittercrossing.org and click on events. You can buy tickets for their dinner, which includes an open bar and entertainment. Experience the bidding excitement on their online auction, or just hit the donate option. Tickets are on sale now through September 20th. Tickets will not be sold at the door. pawscrittercrossing.org. Click on events. No donation is too small.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll talk to former CIA attorney who served in the office of the general counsel for 25 years. He's got a new book, How Democrats Weaponize the DOJ to Protect Biden and Persecute Trump. Yeah, no kidding. We'll get CIA man's perspective, 7:37.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom and say hello once again to our good buddy Mike Scott. Hi, Mike.
7:30 on AM 560. The Answer, sunshine this morning in 65. And they're conducting the first private spacewalk, teaming up with SpaceX and astronauts on a daring endeavor hundreds of miles above the Earth this morning.
With SpaceX, back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world.
Thursday's spacewalk, the main focus of the 5-day flight, financed by tech entrepreneur Jared Isaacman. Nearly 200 have died in Vietnam in the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi, 128 missing. A man suspected of starting the line fire in Southern California is behind bars. San Bernardino County sheriffs say Justin Halstenberg was arrested Tuesday and was held on $80,000 bond. Meantime, L.A. County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney says he's investigating the rapidly expanding bridge fire.
There has been substantial wildfire growth with impacts to the communities of Mount Baldy and Wrightwood.
Meantime, that sheriff believes as time goes on, they'll find the suspect that's being held may have been responsible for other fires. House Speaker Mike Johnson pulling a government funding bill after GOP support collapsed.
We have two obligations right now. Congress has a lot of responsibilities, but two primary obligations. Responsibly fund the government and make sure that our elections are free and fair and secure.
Over a dozen Republicans withdrew their backing of the proposed legislation tied to voter ID laws. 2 people were seriously hurt. Last night, a boat they were on in Lake Michigan slammed into a break wall near Lake Michigan's playpen. 2 from the boat were taken to nearby hospitals, 1 in critical condition, another in serious condition. A man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for the killing of Chicago police officer Ella French and the wounding of her partner in 2021. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox says Imonte Morgan was sentenced to 2 terms of natural life in prison for the death of French, seriously wounding Officer Carlos Yanez Jr. and shooting at Officer Joshua Blas.
Even though he's sentenced to life without a chance of parole, I don't think it's justice. I mean, I'm not going to get a closure.
Yanez, after the sentencing, by the way, Amante Morgan's brother Eric also pled guilty to charges and was sentenced to 7 years behind bars. Cubs gave up 5 home runs in a 10-8 loss to the Dodgers at Dodgers Stadium. Chicago 5 back of the Mets for that final NL wildcard spot. They take on the last-place Rockies tomorrow. White Sox lost to the Guardians 6-4 at guaranteed rate. And the news is a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
What a waste of time, money, and vacation days. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if you've had a bad knee or hip replacement surgery, you know exactly what I'm talking about because sometimes the surgery doesn't even work. But there is an alternative, QC Kinetics. Check it out before you go under the knife. QC Kinetics uses your own body's properties to repair damaged joint tissue due to arthritis or an injury. Folks, it's regenerative medicine. Think about it. If you cut your hand, it eventually heals. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself with a free consultation. And what's really cool is the fact that Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, the National Medical Director and former orthopedic surgeon, is located right here in the Chicago area. Call now to end your chronic pain and learn more about QC Kinetics. They have new locations in Gurnee and Crystal Lake. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you back on the golf course. You must be feeling better, huh?
Yeah, I finally got my blood pressure under control without all the medication side effects.
Wow. New doctor?
No, a superfood juice, believe it or not.
A juice?
Yeah, it's called 120 Life. It's got ingredients like pomegranates, tart cherries, 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Huh.
Yeah, it tastes great and has worked wonders.
Awesome. Are you getting a golf cart?
Nope, I'm walking the course today.
Wow. You got any of that 120 Life on you?
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The purpose of the Trump-Harris debate was to help American voters understand the issues at stake this election year and the candidates' positions on them. By that measure, the ABC debate was a miserable failure. The moderators were horribly biased. They peppered Trump with gotcha questions but ignored all Harris's sticky issues, and there are plenty. Worse, too many questions focused on elite obsessions like January the 6th, race, and climate change. They didn't flesh out the candidates' plans on the issues that normal people really care about, like inflation, the economy, job creation, immigration, and wars. Regular Americans know that the Beltway crowd is disconnected from and contemptuous of their lives. Last night, by refusing to drill down on the issues that matter to them, the ABC moderators failed not only their audience, but the great democratic process they claimed to cherish.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com.
7:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this traffic update is delivered by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. Kennedy inbound accident on the entrance ramp. The on-ramp from Nagel has been cleared. Heavy traffic remains all the way in from O'Hare into the Circle. It is 90 minutes on that commute. The Ike stop and go outbound with an accident. 2 left lanes are blocked between Independence and Manheim. Dan Ryan right now is at 43 heavy minutes, 95th into the Circle. And delays this morning in Volo because of an accident, Belvedere and US 12. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Warm day ahead, sun and clouds, high 87. Partly cloudy and 67 overnight. Partly cloudy and 65 right now. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. House Republicans report something that is unsurprising but troubling nonetheless. New congressional report accuses an office within the State Department of funding groups that targeted and censored small businesses in the United States, overstepping its mandate to combat foreign disinformation. Gee, what a surprise. The activities of the State Department's Global Engagement Center, which has an estimated budget of $61 million and a staff of 125, certainly bigger than our Russian colluders, certainly bigger than Tenet Media, has been funding groups, this Global Engagement Center, been funding groups engaged in domestic censorship. The investigation began following, and then we've talked about this, following a series of reports of this agency's involvement with the Global Disinformation Index, which is a British group that pressures advertisers to basically defund right-of-center media outlets in the United States. Moreover, the National Endowment for Democracy, protecting our democracy, I presume, that's a State Department-funded nonprofit that awards hundreds of thousands of dollars to that Global Disinformation Index, which is the British group pressuring advertisers not to advertise on right-of-center media outlets. It's just more of this network of censors that was nicely detailed by Elon Musk, by Elon Musk's cooperation with reporters like Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger, as so memorialized in the Twitter files, the pressure that was coming directly from the government on social media companies to do things like put a chill on the Hunter Biden laptop story, or put a chill on any cognitive dissonance about COVID policies. The CIA, the State Department, the FBI. These are the dragons we must slay, to borrow from Mr. Burns, it would seem, these days. And Trump made that case about the cases he faces at the debate on Tuesday night.
Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York, every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
Well, it's not just fake cases against Trump, and it's not just fake cases against those who are political opponents of the ruling class. It's also, the weaponization is also in furtherance of silencing dissent. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Joseph Sweeney. He served in the CIA's Office of General Counsel for 25 years. He's the author of the new book, Dangerous Injustice: How Democrats Weaponize the DOJ to Protect Biden and Persecute Trump. Joseph Sweeney, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
What's your reaction to what Trump said on that debate stage Tuesday night?
I suspect he may have read my book because that's exactly what I prove in my book. You know, for 25 years, I worked on espionage, investigations, and prosecutions to include cases where senior government officials had mishandled classified information. So I'm an expert on these types of cases. And so I did a deep dive on Biden's case and Trump's case, comparing them to each other and how DOJ and the FBI handled those cases. And I was just shocked at what I discovered. With every stone I unturned, I found more and more malfeasance by the Biden administration, where they had bent over backwards to cover up Biden's malfeasance. And then on the other hand, they bent over backwards to create criminality on Trump's behalf. And what I could see in looking, and I delve deep into this in my book. I look at the FBI raid affidavit on Mar-a-Lago. I've written hundreds of those affidavits, if not thousands, explaining classified information to federal judges. And I found so many mistakes in that affidavit. And again, I lay them all out in my book. And it was obvious to me that these weren't the types of mistakes where people were trying to do the right thing but just screwed up. These were things where the law was purposefully being misrepresented to the court. The facts were purposely being misrepresented to the court. And then you compare that with something like Trump's indictment, where they just created new law in order to make Trump's conduct a crime when Trump hadn't even packed any of his boxes for the stuff that got sent to Mar-a-Lago and was actually in the process of returning things that he was finding. You compare that to Biden's case, Biden had over 50 years of classified documents, spanning 50 years, all over his house. These weren't things that were just in boxes. They'd been unpacked and put into filing folders, some of which had Biden's own handwriting on them. So there's no doubt that Biden knew that he had classified information, and he was at a minimum grossly negligent in the handling of classified information, which is also a violation of the Espionage Act.
Yeah, but the special counsel determined that he wasn't mentally fit to stand trial, correct?
I'm glad you brought that up. The special counsel in his report actually had many, many, many excuses why not to prosecute Biden. The excuse that got all the publicity is the exact one that you've described, that he was just too old and senile to be prosecuted. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. In their investigation, the special counsel discovered some tape recordings where Biden was captured on the tapes talking to his ghostwriter. This is someone who Biden had hired to help him write a book after his vice presidency. So at this time, Biden was just a citizen, right? This is February of 2017, 3 years before he became president. And what the tape recording clearly says, you can hear Biden coming up from the basement and saying to his ghostwriter, I just found all the classified stuff downstairs. Now, that was 2017, 3 years before he became president. And it's that tape recording where the special counsel said, at that point in time, Biden's memory was so bad that he could well have forgotten that he just found all that stuff right after he found it. I mean, maybe that's true, but then the man ran for president and served, for almost 4 years now. And so that was 2017. And, it just kind of strains credulity. And there are many, many other excuses, none of which withstand scrutiny when you look at them. But that's what her report did. And so what I do in my book is I kind of put aside the conclusions of the report, and I just look at the fact-finding. And if you look at the fact-finding, it lays out very strong cases of Biden's criminality.
Well, the other thing, too, I mean, in terms of the process that you're talking about, I mean, this predates the actual formal criminal prosecutions of Trump because the misrepresentation to courts of law, I mean, it was made by the FBI to FISA courts for surveillance on Trump in the first place. So, I mean, this seems to me to be emblematic of the culture inside the Beltway.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because in my book, I go all the way back to 2016. I don't just look at the current prosecution against Trump for the, what I call the trumped up espionage prosecution. I go back to 2016 when the FBI was using very intrusive collection mechanisms that are designed for intelligence. I'm an expert on these collection mechanisms. They're very intrusive, electronic surveillance. They were using these mechanisms to target Trump's campaign unlawfully. But at least back then, they were trying to hide their conduct. That's why they were using these secret mechanisms to target Trump's campaign. But they just got more and more aggressive to the point that they actually raided the president's house and then indicted him. I mean, these are unprecedented actions in our nation's history. They are highly aggressive, and they're blatant, right? So the FBI and DOJ have gotten to a point where they are willing to openly act as an enforcement mechanism for the Democratic Party. That's one of the scariest things. They don't even try and hide it anymore. And half the country is okay with it, applauding it, and actually asking for more of it, which is even scarier.
Well, and I mean, at what point do we say this is not being overly aggressive? It's not being rogue. This is a fifth column action against the sitting president, or it has been this running fifth column action. I mean, his CIA director, we now know, Gina Haspel, after Pompeo, she knew about the Hunter Biden laptop letter. She had to know, just like the FBI had to know, and all those signatories had to know, that the laptop was authentic. It was in the FBI's possession.
Yes, and I know many of the people who signed that letter. They're all Democrats.
Right.
And this is one of the things I talk about in my book. These are political appointees running these agencies, and they are beholden to their political party master. It's just the reality of life. And if they stopped being beholden to their political party masters, they would no longer be in the positions that they're in.
Yeah, but
so
but it's interesting that they have no problem. I mean, it's the master, I guess, is the point of this, because they have no problem not being step and fetch for President Trump. But in point of fact, they're separate and distinct from even those sometimes who appoint them. That's the thing that people, I suppose, need to understand. This is why I suggest, this is a borderline fifth column action at some point.
Yeah, and one of the things I highlight in my book is how the federal bureaucracy actually works, having spent 35 years in it. And I describe it as like Game of Thrones without the bloodshed, right? There are kingdoms and fiefdoms, and there are people who are holdovers from other parties, or I worked for people who were very critical of President Trump, political appointees, even though he appointed them. And so that does happen, right? There are people who are going to be beholden to their political party because that's who they see as their master. And I've served all different administrations, Democrats and Republicans, but I can tell you this type of conduct I have only seen from the Democratic Party.
And is it recent, or have you seen it? Did you see it throughout the course of your 25 years at CIA?
So, for my initial years at the CIA, I was, a relatively low-ranking person. I was a GS-11, and I worked my way up through the ranks. I retired as a CIS-4, which is the civilian equivalent of a 2- or 3-star general. It wasn't until I reached the higher levels, which was about the last 10 years or so, 10 to 12 years, that I was exposed to the most senior levels of government. That's when I started to see these things.
Well, keeping up with the the Game of Thrones metaphor, what should be done to the House of Brennan, your former employer?
It's difficult. It's difficult to try and use criminal law to go after people. It's difficult to use civil law to go after people. What you can do at a minimum is you can seek transparency. you investigate and you publish the results so that at a minimum, these people are publicly shamed, right? The people who are doing these things. And the American people at least can have the truth in front of them. They may or not believe it. They may not want to read it. They may find it uncomfortable, but at least they will know it and they will have that knowledge.
Joseph Sweeney served in the CAA's Office of General Counsel for 25 years. He's the author of the new book we've been discussing entitled Dangerous Injustice, How Democrats Weaponize the DOJ to Protect Biden and Persecute Trump. Joseph Sweeney, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for your time.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
We know what a woman is. And at Natural Womanhood, we believe that a woman's fertility is beautiful, powerful, and healthy, not something to be controlled or destroyed by doctors and big pharma. Women deserve better. Women deserve to know and claim the uniqueness of their natural female bodies. Women deserve access to authentic, holistic, and restorative reproductive health solutions. Women deserve to know they have real solutions beyond birth control for treating menstrual cycles issues or for family planning. Options without harmful side effects. Natural Womanhood produces high-quality, informative articles, podcasts, and videos to empower women to know and love their bodies. Find evidence-based information about birth control issues and alternatives, cycle issues like endometriosis, infertility, IVF, and more. Break free from big pharma, get healthier, learn how to work with your doctor to diagnose and treat cycle issues, or learn how to start conversations with resources from Natural Womanhood. Access the latest articles and podcasts, or even get a free consultation at naturalwomanhood.org. Visit naturalwomanhood.org today.
Hi, this is Maria and Diane with the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of App Properties Christie's International. We wanted to tell you why we placed number 9 in Illinois as the top producing real estate team and number 1 in Arlington Heights.
In the past 9 years, we assisted 1,975 buyers and sellers achieve the American dream of home ownership, selling $720 million in real estate.
If you are considering making a move, we can help you get the most value for your home in today's market.
Maria and I have over 50 years of combined experience. We take a conservative approach in protecting your asset and will give you the direction and professional advice needed to achieve a successful transaction.
Our pledge to you is to have your best interest at heart. So get the special attention you deserve with our white glove service from our city division to the suburbs.
Contact us for a free, no-obligation market analysis at thedmregroup.com. That's thedmregroup.com.
Information verification, MRED LLC, 2013 to 2022. Real Trends Large Teams 2022.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
Hi, I'm Ron Kraszewski, Chairman and CEO of Stifel. Financial advisors, let's face it, if you're not growing your practice, you're losing market share. Stifel is a growing, entrepreneurial, advisor-centric firm built for successful advisors like you. There's a reason why 148 financial advisors joined Stifel last year. Come join us and find out why Stifel is the firm where success meets success. Visit www.choosestifel.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want
want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Attention college and university students, introducing 2 brand new revolutionary books published in chemistry and physiology that'll make both easier to understand. The first book, entitled New and Effective Method for Solving General Chemistry Problems, details an amazing method that simplifies chemistry problems down to fractions of multiplication and division. Students, you no longer need to memorize and use any chemical formula. The second book, entitled The Only True Outline of Physiology, reduces an entire 300-page physiology textbook down to 105 pages by eliminating excessive wordage that can be time-consuming and confusing. The Only True Outline of Physiology underlines the information most likely to be asked on exams and helps you better understand the principles of physiology. For more details on either book, visit Zarantos-Publishing.com. Both are available on Amazon or at Zarantos-Publishing.com in a digital format and in print form upon request. Say goodbye to confusing chemistry and physiology content. Get these books today. That's Zarantos-Publishing.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Are we already at the end of the Empire? Oren McIntyre at 8:08.
Today we're going to have mostly sunny skies. It's going to be warm, a high near 87 degrees with some clouds by this afternoon. It's now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's back to Battleground States. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 2 days after the first and perhaps only Trump-Harris debate.
The two are campaigning across the country from each other. Vice President Kamala Harris is in North Carolina today. She has campaign rallies in Charlotte. Then she heads over to Greensboro. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump's out west speaking this afternoon in Tucson. The campaign says Trump will address the economy and the rising cost of housing. Tomorrow, he holds a rally in Vegas.
Fox's Rich Edson at the White House. Tomorrow will mark 2 months since the Trump assassination attempt. Today, the acting Secret Service director will give lawmakers a classified briefing on the investigation. Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz says they need it.
Look, there are people out there on the left who think this thing was staged, and there are people on the right who think this was an inside job. And that's because no one is giving them information.
North Korea has test-launched more missiles days after Kim Jong-un, the leader, said they had to be sure his nuclear arsenal is ready for combat. Francine is now a tropical depression the morning after hitting Louisiana as a hurricane.
The tornado threat continues.
Fox Weather's Craig Herrera in New Orleans, where there was flooding with potentially more to come.
Widespread rain, and some pretty intense rain at that, moves all the way over into the Florida Panhandle, Georgia, Alabama, into Tennessee.
There are more than 400,000 power outages, most of them in Louisiana. We just got another inflation update. Wholesale prices rose 0.2% last month, the 10th more than expected, but the year-over-year rate of price increase dropped to just 1.7%. There was also a slight uptick in unemployment last week. First-time jobless claims rose to 230,000. A first in space.
Stepping into Max Reach, do you have visual?
Affirm, we have visual on the nose cone.
That's SpaceX's Sarah Gillis in the first non-NASA spacewalk ever. She went out after billionaire Jared Isaacman was the first to exit the capsule. He's the commander of the crew of 4 civilian astronauts. Isaacman also partially funded the private mission. America's listening to Fox News.
64 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 were seriously hurt after the boat they were on in Lake Michigan slammed into a break wall. Chicago fire officials say the boat hit the break wall near the playpen, close to Ohio Street Beach. 2 from the boat were taken to nearby hospitals in critical condition, another in serious condition. A man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for the killing of Chicago police officer Ella French and the wounding of her partner in 2021.
We have to continue to lose to the graveyard or to the jailhouse. What I do know is that the men and women of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office stand ready to do their job to hold people accountable and bring justice to families. Imonte Morgan was sentenced to 2 terms of natural life in prison, found guilty in March of killing French and seriously wounding Officer Carlos Yanez Jr. and shooting at Officer Joshua Blas during a traffic stop in August of 2021. A man has been arrested, charged in the fatal shooting of a liquor store employee in Glenwood. Glenwood police announcing Wednesday 27-year-old Antonio Dignas of Calumet City has been charged, tied to the murder of Naveen Singh. Top aide to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson facing backlash over comments she made about police on a pair of podcasts. While appearing on that cast in 2021, Kennedy Bartley used horrifically offensive language, calling police pigs. Earlier this year, Bartley openly discussed defunding the police as well. Alderman Nick Sposato says Bartley has to go immediately.
Very disappointed that somebody like this, who should have been vetted properly, obviously was not vetted. She's got to go, plain and simple.
Several city council members yesterday called for her resignation. Chicago sports, Cubs lost to the Dodgers 10-8, while the White Sox lost to Cleveland 6-4. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection and unlimited 24/7 help desk support. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
McDonald's $5 value meal is being extended. It'll be available in most markets into December. The deal's been copied with similar discount meals at competitors. Most franchisees are approving of the deal extension. The value meal includes a McDouble or McChicken sandwich, small fries, 4-piece chicken nuggets, and a small soft drink for $5. Joe Erlinger, president of McDonald's U.S., says the $5 deal's working with tens of millions of people buying it. Alaska Air Group shares are rallying after the airline said it's doing better than expected. Alaska transported passengers from other airlines that were impacted by the summer's CrowdStrike disruption of computer systems. It was also helped by fuel prices moderating. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
I opened a gold IRA with Noble Gold Investments. There's no better vote for your financial safety than precious metals. So Noble Gold Investments is giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account this month. Just use promo code TRUMP. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's tragic story made national headlines this year. Now, Jonathan was shot and killed by a career criminal during a traffic stop. Jonathan, who's just 31 years old, leaves behind his wife Stephanie and 1-year-old son Ryan. Now, nothing will ever replace the loss of a husband and a father, but the Tunnel to Towers Foundation was able to pay off the mortgage on the Diller family's home. Please commit to $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of that smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. The Kennedy at 95 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the Ike due to an earlier accident on the outbound side between Cicero and Mannheim. Big delays. Stevenson inbound. Accident now left shoulder. You're backed up from the Veterans Memorial Toll, I-355, all the way to Route 83. Traveling on the Dan Ryan Express lanes are slow this morning inbound between Marquette and the Stevenson. And delays are showing up this morning on the Veterans I-355 northbound, right at Boughton Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Very warm day, sunshine this morning, followed by some sun and clouds for the afternoon. The high today 87, partly cloudy tonight, low 67, partly sunny tomorrow, the high 84, and then clouds and sun on Saturday, the high 83. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
65 and sunshine. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So is it all over but the shouting for America? The American century has passed, and we're now in an assisted living facility, soon to meet our maker. That's a philosophy that, or a belief system that some have, that we're at the end of the empire. Well, also, too, if that's true, if America is moving towards inevitable decline, then what fills the void left by American leadership? For an understanding of where we're at, arguably, and how, if it is at all possible, to get to a place better than where we find ourselves, perhaps how to stave off America's decline. Pleased to be joined by Orrin McIntyre. He is the host of the Orrin McIntyre Show and a columnist for Blaze News. His new book, which is getting a lot of review in conservative media circles, at least, The Total State, How Liberal Democracies Become Tyrannies. Orrin McIntyre, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
So are we just in the death throes now with respect to America's hegemony in the world?
Well, I always say to people that I'm long on the American people, but I'm short on the current American regime. I think it's pretty clear to anyone who lived through 2020 that the way that we have reorganized our government is just thoroughly unconstitutional. And the way that it acted in those moments, the way that it continues to act now, makes it clear that we have some very serious problems, not just in current leadership, but systemically. There are a lot of issues built deeply into our institutions. I don't think that this at all dooms America or the American project or the American people, because the American people are never and have never been the same thing as the state. Our state may have diverged very heavily from the interests of the American people, but the American people are still industrious, they're still kind, they are still some of the best people on the face of the earth. And so I think there is a way forward for the United States, but I think it has to come with radical reform of the institutions that are currently steering it off the road.
But how does this good-natured, good-willed American populace do something? How does it come to do something that it has shown very little appetite to do? I mean, you describe the American people in a hopeful way, but those are the same American people that have presided over where we find ourselves and don't seem to have the political will to make the sort of systemic changes or to recapture and rebalance some of these cultural and civic institutions that you say is required. So how does that change in terms of political will, political courage? How does that happen?
Well, I think people are often defined by their leadership, and when we look into the way that the American nation and specifically the conservative movement has been led, it's frankly terrible. There has been this understanding among conservatives, especially those of the last few generations, that the institutions themselves were really the same thing as the nation, and that those institutions would in perpetuity protect our freedom, protect our liberties, protect our heritage and our tradition and our understanding of who we are as a people. And so we didn't really need to do anything. The Constitution was this novel piece of political technology. And once the Founding Fathers kind of set this machine in motion, we needed to vote in some of the right people from time to time, but ultimately our individual responsibility was considered less and less every generation. But that's not what the Founding Fathers understood about our Constitution. They understood that ultimately the Constitution is only a reflection of the way of being of the people. Our Constitution was great because the people who wrote it were great. The people who were living out and embodying its values were great. And I think that those values still exist in the United States, but we need a leadership. We need a conservative movement especially, which is motivated and energized towards specific goals and duties to community, no longer relying on federal elections to magically fix everything with a wand, or for some aspect of military leadership or law enforcement or someone to ride to the rescue, understanding that those duties and responsibilities always lay at the feet of us in our communities. And there's a reason that the government was established in a federal style, because it's really that state and local building that actually creates robust communities that can push back against a strong centralized government.
So, I mean, this is sort of the argument for the cold civil war that people suggest is occurring with population shift towards the southeast and the southwest and away from the Rust Belt and New England and California. Obviously, people are moving to places where their values are reflected, and it's making, as the saying goes, the blue states bluer and the red states redder.
Yeah, what we're looking at is what a lot of people call the great sort, which ultimately is what we all knew communities were actually built around. We kind of had this idea that due to the shared American experience that was really built post-World War II, that you could live anywhere in the United States and we more or less have the same experience. So it didn't matter if you left your family, you left your area, you left your tradition, you left the people you grew up with. You could travel for work, you could travel for education, you could be anywhere in the country at any time, and ultimately you would get the exact same experience because we were the United States. But actually, that was never what the United States was supposed to be in the first place. These United States were always supposed to be states in which there was a particular culture, a particular understanding, and there was an overcode, an understanding of what America was as a whole. But these regional identities were always there because, in truth, communities were always regional. They always had to be people who had a shared value and shared experience. So what we're seeing is not some strange mutation of the American experience where we sort ourselves into different communities. This is just a return to the way that life existed previously in any sane generation, where they understood that if you want a community that shares your values, that perpetuates your traditions, shares your religious outlook, these things, you have to be grouped together geographically. It's not simply enough to cast a vote every 4 years and hope that the guy who's in the White House is the one who's going to impose your values on the rest of the nation.
I recently I'm reading an article right now on thefederalist.com that COVID was your red pill moment. Can you explain that?
Yeah, like a lot of people, like I said, I thought that ultimately the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, these things just protect us. This is what I've been told my entire life. I listened to Rush Limbaugh. I went to civics class. I knew how the government worked. And then we saw everything that happened in 2020. The churches were closed, but the strip clubs were open. You couldn't go to the funeral of a loved one, but people were allowed to riot in the streets. And that's really, really when I realized that actually the Constitution is not working as intended. Power is not working as intended. And the book is really my intellectual journey as I tried to understand how power actually works in the United States by going through several political theorists that are often ignored but are deep inside the right-wing tradition.
Oh, and don't forget, George Floyd had 3 funerals, by the way.
Well,
I mean, just to point out the hypocrisy of it all.
Oh, of course.
So I mean, this, but you still have this managerial, the sclerotic managerial class or layer in government at every level, frankly. And this is, I know that you tackle this the same way Michael Lind at University of Texas has. And maybe not exactly the same way, but this is a topic area where there's a lot of scholarship, a burgeoning amount of scholarship, thankfully. Joel Kotkin in his New Feudalism as well. And I'm just wondering, so what do you think of that when 1 in 5 college-educated whites works for the government? 3 in 5 college-educated blacks do. So can you, in other words, can you sort and get away from this abrogation of constitutional restraints and rights protection that you're describing?
Yeah, I think a lot of this comes back to James Burnham, of course, in his book, The Managerial Revolution, in which James Burnham really determined that ultimately, while there were, 3 distinct governments kind of operating, 3 powers operating in the 1930s, of course, a lot of people think of, fascism, communism, and then Western liberal democracy. Ultimately, all modern states were reorganizing themselves into what he called managerial states. And these managerial states required a large amount of centralization and production control due to mass production and mass consumption, the scaling up of society after the Industrial Revolution. Yes, we did not go down the same route as communism or fascism, but FDR's control of the government in the 1930s very clearly mirrors that understanding of the need to centralize and managerialize pretty much all of our bureaucratic institutions. And because that became the central organizational tool in government, it also became the central organizational tool for capitalism, for even religious organizations, education. Everything is under this mass managerial mindset. This is a huge problem, of course, like you say, because so much of the current government functions as basically a patronage network for many people who are plugged in to the managerial system. But the reason I call the book The Total State is it goes well outside that kind of deep state, unelected bureaucratic layer and goes into academia, into the media, into all corporations and all these other institutions. That what's going to be required, and there's no easy task here. I'm not pretending that there is, but what's going to be required is a way that we have to rethink our understanding of human organization, especially when it comes to scale, because it's scale that is defeating the ability of the Constitution and our understanding of how the government should be separated and controlled. If everything is unified into these mass bureaucratic organizations that are untouchable by the input of the voting, the electorate, then ultimately these things will gain the powers of what we think of as a tyrannical ruler. You think you elected Donald Trump to be president of the United States, but actually, when the COVID comes, it turns out that Anthony Fauci is the guy who rules in the state of exception. This is something that cannot be acceptable going forward.
Yeah. So, the classic public-private partnership. Well, we have a public-private partnership of a technocracy that you're describing, a managerial elite, whichever nomenclatura, whichever term you prefer. And that needs to be addressed. And so it would seem to me then the priority for a president or a governor or a county official or a municipal official is if I really want to change the trajectory of my community or my state, then I need to rethink the administrative state. And in pertinent part, I need to drastically reduce its size and scope.
Exactly. And the only way we can really do that, of course, it would be great if someone like Donald Trump is in power and comes in with the intention, J.D. Vance has said this explicit, that he believes the solution is dismantling the managerial state. So having someone in Washington actively doing that is obviously ideal. However, that's also it's also kind of asking the monster to disassemble itself. Leviathan usually doesn't want to wield that power easily. So really all they can probably do is pry the door open. But what then happens is the ability of the states to take charge of these things again once they get some breathing room. We've already seen governors like mine, Governor DeSantis, make big changes and have a big impact in the state. The way that I lived through COVID was radically different than most people because of his leadership. And think of the states like Alabama and Ohio that are currently dealing with these mass migration crises. You have Springfield, Ohio, 20,000 people from Haiti coming into that, most of them being brought under this temporary protected status specifically enabled by the federal government. And what is the Republican governor doing there? Nothing. He's saying, actually, I agree with this policy. The only thing I'm angry about is I'm not getting the funding. That is exactly the problem. He doesn't have a problem with the fact that he's getting replacement migration into his towns, that there's a massive impact on the people living there, that there's a deleterious impact on the people there. He's just worried the bureaucracy is not sufficiently funded. There's not enough scaffolding. That is the kind of mindset that has to be destroyed.
Good example. Orion McIntyre is the host of the Orion McIntyre Show and a columnist for Blaze News. The book, The Total State, How Liberal Democracies Become Tyrannies. Orion, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the book.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Oh, having chronic pain is no fun, whether you are injured or if you have arthritis. That pain in your joints, in your hip, in your knees, in your shoulders, in your elbows, it's not going to go away. You can't just will it away. You can't wait for the pain to stop. You have to be proactive. And that's why we want you to call our good friends over at QC Kinetics. We're talking about regenerative medicine where you use your own body's properties to heal itself. Call them. They'll give you a free consultation. They'll walk you through the whole process because I am definitely not a doctor. But I know people that have gone to QC Kinetics. I met this wonderful lady, Dan, at the pool in Utah, and she said, I had my left hip operated on, and I'm not doing that again because it never healed. But now she's having problems in her right hip, and she's going to QC Kinetics. Her next appointment was a week away, and she was so excited about it because she's already feeling the positive effects. Here's the number to call, 312-809-5955. They have Saturday appointments available, new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. So again, the number to call to schedule your free consultation, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955.
You're invited to join Chicago's Aid for Women, celebrating 46 years of empowering women to choose life. Join them Thursday evening, September 26th at the Union League Club in downtown Chicago for their annual benefit dinner. The keynote speaker will be Trey Gowdy. The Praesidium Vitae Award will be presented to Mary Hallen Fiorito. Aid for Women provides many important services to women facing unplanned pregnancy who may be considering abortion. At Aid for Women, they believe that the solution to a crisis pregnancy is to remove the crisis, not the child. Aid for Women provides housing, parenting classes, mentoring, and genuine friendship to pregnant women in need, allowing them to choose life and setting them on the path to financial security and independence. To learn more about this event and to support this great organization, go to helpaidforwomen.org. That's helpaidforwomen.org. You can help save lives and souls from abortion today.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Attention maintenance coordinators. If you manage an industrial facility, then you know how critical it is to manage a consistent maintenance staff. During outages, when you're short-handed, Vans has your back.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Whether you need one person for 8 hours or a large crew for a month, we can supplement your maintenance team. Our personnel are trained mechanics familiar with all material handling processes. Our expertise extends to fabricating, sheet metal, millwright, and ironwork jobs. Our men can work alongside your repairmen, or we can provide an entire crew complete with equipment depending on your requirements.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your maintenance team. That's 833-VANS-IND. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Time Magazine has to correct the record about Kamala's extremism when it comes to gender identity politics and surgeries. We'll start there with Noelle Mering, who joins us at 8:38. She's a fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center and the author of Awake Not Woke, A Christian Response to the Cult of Progressive Ideology. Noelle Mering at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
69 degrees and sunshine at 8:30. They're conducting the first private spacewalk. Right now, teaming up with SpaceX on a daring endeavor hundreds of miles above the Earth.
SpaceX. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world.
Today's spacewalk was the main focus of the 5-day flight. Nearly 200 have died in Vietnam in the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi, and 128 are missing in flash flooding. A man suspecting of starting the line fire in Southern California is in custody. The sheriff in San Bernardino County says Justin Halstenberg was arrested Tuesday. L.A. County Fire Department Chief Anthony Maroney on the rapidly expanding bridge fire this morning.
There has been substantial wildfire growth with impacts to the communities of Mount Baldy and Wrightwood.
Investigators say as time goes on, they think they'll find the suspect may have been responsible for other California fires as well. A Pakistani man living in Texas has been indicted on charges. He was trying to orchestrate an elaborate murder-for-hire plot targeting several politicians, including former President Donald Trump. The Justice Department says Asif Merchant has ties to Iran, started to recruit hitmen who turned out to be federal undercover agents. A man was shot and killed last night in the West Garfield Park neighborhood on Chicago's west side. The 36-year-old was found suffering from gunshot wounds in the 4000 block of West Carroll. 2 were seriously hurt after the boat they were on in Lake Michigan slammed into a break wall. 2 from the boat refused medical treatment, but later were rushed to a nearby hospital, 1 in critical condition, the other in serious condition. A judge is calling Trump Tower in Chicago a public nuisance. The judge ruling this week the downtown high-rise threatens the Chicago River because its cooling water intake system has illegally sucked in and killed a few thousand fish over several years. Mayor Brandon Johnson is making changes to the city's hiring freeze.
We don't want to have to cut any services. I made that very clear. You know, I've been an organizer, I've been an elected official, and I know the damage that has been done over the course of bad decisions. But as a city, we have to be prudent and fiscally responsible in this moment.
Johnson's administration announced the hiring freeze would not impact police and fire employees yesterday. The change follows a backlash from pro-law enforcement aldermen. Cubs gave up 5 home runs and a 10-8 loss to the Dodgers. Seiya Suzuki and Cody Bellinger both homered in the loss. Cubs visit the last-place Rockies tomorrow. White Sox nearly overcame a 5-run deficit but lost 6-4 to Cleveland. The news service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back with a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 21st. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise. Sponsored in part by Opum Tax Advocates and attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they want you to think that unlimited data is fantastic. Well, the fact is, it's not. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for data that you need. With just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Save money, same service with Pure Talk.
You hear more and more about identity theft in the news every day. That's because so much of your personal info is out of your control, like your insurance provider that has your Social Security number and your favorite retailer that has your payment details. If they get breached, your information's vulnerable. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code PLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
You've heard Rumpke's Garage commercials on AM 560, and now they specialize in servicing Sprinters and light-duty diesels. But the experts at Rumpke's also service Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. So if you own an Isuzu or Chevy low-cab forward truck but aren't sure where to get it repaired, take it to Rumpke's Garage, your #1 dealer alternative for repairs to your Isuzu NPR, Isuzu F-Series, or Chevy low-cab forward truck. Whether gas or diesel, your truck is the lifeline of your business. That's why Rumpke's Garage offers free loaners while your truck is being serviced. They'll even pick up and deliver for your convenience. Rumpke's Garage has the factory scan tool to properly diagnose Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. Their commitment to your business is backed with a complimentary maintenance plan and free 2-year warranty. Go to Rumpke'sGarage.com to learn more about their specialization in Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks and schedule your appointment today. That's Rumpke's, REMKES, Garage.com.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound on the Edens, 40 minutes Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy right now is running at an hour and a half from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange, while the Ike is at an hour 12 as you travel from Manheim into the old post office, and about an hour 25 all the way in. Stevenson inbound right now, accident left shoulder at Route 83. You're backed up inbound from the Veterans Memorial Toll Road. And the Dan Ryan is solid inbound between Marquette, 67th, and the Stevenson Expressway. Traffic, a service of Staples Stores. Staples prints anything you need for your business, like banners, flyers, and signs. And Staples will be at a price quote, plus print more. Save more, up to $150 off your print purchase. Offer ends 11/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details or staples.com/price match. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Today, warm with sun and clouds. A high of 87 tonight, partly cloudy and 67. Right now, sunshine and 69. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Tuesday night's debate, President Trump detailed Kamala Harris's cultural Marxism, including making all things that are true, making mention of many things, including now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. And this was fact-checked by the fact-checkers. Time magazine, the former president falsely claimed Harris wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens in prison. Who fact-check the fact-check? Who fact-checks the fact-checkers?
There's audio of her saying that.
Correction issued yesterday. The original version of the story mischaracterized as false Donald Trump's statement. As a presidential candidate in 2019, Harris filled out a questionnaire saying she supported taxpayer-funded gender transition treatment for detained immigrants. Yeah, no kidding. But, you know, it's funny in a sense because it sounds so ridiculous that the fact checkers didn't even bother to fact check it. They just assumed Trump was making it up. Oh, now he's using hyperbole to try to highlight that she's extreme. No, he's actually just reciting her real positions and her actual conduct over her time in various public offices. And point of fact, this was something that she was on the forefront of and very proud of when she was making her way up the political ladder.
They were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need. And I believe it was not only, I know it was historic in California, but I believe actually it may have been one of the first, if not the first in the country, where I pushed for that policy in a Department of Corrections.
She was at tip of the spear at the state level. She gets up to the federal level. Now you just expand it to people in this country illegally too, because why not? Mm-hmm.
You hear that, fact checkers?
For more on this and other related matters, please be joined by Noelle Mering. She's a fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center, where she co-directs the Theology of Home project. She's the editor for Theology of Home and co-author of the series, and the author of the new book, Awake, Not Woke, A Christian Response to the Cult of Progressive Ideology. And Noelle will be speaking at Willows Academy there in Des Plaines next week, September 20th at 6 p.m. Again, she'll be at Willows Academy September 20th at 6 p.m. if you want to hear what she has to say, you can do so locally in Des Plaines, Willis Academy in Des Plaines. Noelle Mering, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
The cult of gender identity and the ghoulishness that is associated with it, particularly with respect to children, there's pushback in sports, and there's some pushback at the K through 12 level, some litigation, but it really feels like sensible people that don't want to mutilate their children are losing this battle at the federal level, certainly with this administration, and at many state and local levels as well.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things happening. I think on the grassroots level, the anti-gender ideology movement, of which I am a part, has had a lot of successes. I think that popular opinion is really repelled against this for good reason. And we've seen clinics shut down, particularly in England, and some lawsuits beginning. But from the top-down level, they're really aggressive. And I think because they know that this is not something that sells well or sells easily. And so it's a constant series of manipulations, denying reality, that what we saw at the debate with Kamala saying that she never said something that she clearly said, and then sort of coercive laws and top-down efforts to really force this ideology, not only in policy, but in our schools, as you said, in the imaginations of children. It makes you wonder, why is this so important? I think it's verifiable why it's so important. It's deeply destabilizing to the human person, and therefore to our ability to form relationships, to be fruitful. It's sterilizing children at young ages, and also for us to live in a civil society that has some sort of rational mode of being. It's deeply transgressive, and in that transgression, it is considered their liberation. This is a real stance against nature, against God, and against moral law.
And the various churches around the country, they don't seem to be meeting the moment either. I'm going to give you an example. They're myriad, but the Pacific School of Religion is hosting a series of workshops this fall. The Queering the 2024 Vote workshops are a project of the Protestant Seminary's Center for LGBTQ and Gender Studies in Religion. Online series will focus on the question during the current election season, how might we as LGBTQ people, communities, and allies be voices and votes of positive change for a nation in such desperate need of justice, hope, love, and compassion? Vote with love, I should say, workshop headed by Reverend Michael Newroth, the director of the United Church of Christ, Office of Public Policy and Advocacy. Elections are a queer thing. A sacred response. Another workshop will incorporate different rituals, meditations, and reflection exercises to help LGBTQ individuals reflect on the election season. This is the new mantra of much of Christian thought in this country.
Yeah, I think that the guise of compassion is always going to be the first battle cry of the movement. Because it is confusing, I think, for a lot of Christians, because, compassion and love is at the very heart of our faith. But, they're taking a Christian concept and manipulating it to really support something that doesn't make us ennobled or empowered. It makes us really slaves. But under the guise of becoming like a deity ourselves, it's sort of a self-deification. We can transform our very identity and make ourselves a god in a way by saying that we are even transcendent against our bodily reality. But it's really sad. And, I think the fact that there are so many shepherds kind of playing alongside of this, pastors and such, a lot of people, I think a lot of Christians will try to translate this movement into a way that makes it seem like really is compassionate. And I think that they're doing that out of some misguided sense of Christian charity. But I think we owe that sort of charity to maybe an individual. Maybe we can assume that this person's confused and just deluded. But we don't owe that sort of charity towards a movement and an ideology. And if we look at the queer theory, the literature, there's really no way to reconcile it with Christianity. And so, whether there's malevolence or just ignorance, this has to be opposed because it's actually hurting and damaging people, and particularly children. There really is no way to reconcile it.
Well, I mean, Pope Benedict, famously said that, paraphrasing, that basically the devil doesn't show up as evil; he shows up as a false good, and that's
right.
That's what this seems to be. But how do you? I mean, what's your sort of approach or thinking about how you convey to people the what they think is good is in fact a false good?
I think one of the most powerful ways of combating this is to elevate the stories and testimonies of the detransitioners. They really have a powerful witness against gender ideology because they bear in their very bodies and in their life that they had the full embrace of it, that they, utterly, deeply believed this at one point, and to the point of allowing their bodies to be mutilated and taking drugs and hormone pills. And then they also bear the scars and the real pain of the movement. And the regret, and the lifelong permanent changes that they've experienced. And, oftentimes they have lifelong chronic illnesses. Their lives are shortened. They'll never have children in many cases. These are deeply powerful testimonies. And I think elevating their stories and giving them a platform is really important. It's also the reason why they are so silent. The movement really hates them.
Yeah. How has social media played a part in all of this?
Well, good and for ill. There's been a lot of teenagers who have been pulled into gender ideology through gender, ideologues on social media, really targeting them and telling them, you're going to be so important. This is going to make you really special, and elevate your voice. If you start by social transitioning, change your pronouns. Now maybe take hormones. And a lot of them, who regret this later will testify that, this really made me feel like it took my pain away. I had all this emotional pain, maybe some insecurities, and this made me feel important and powerful and like I was unassailable. But social media can also have a contrary effect in battling this because a lot of, the detransitioner stories are allowed on, for example, X and things like this. That would not be ever, if we were limited to the 3 main networks or something, we wouldn't be hearing these stories. And so I think there's been a powerful effect on both sides.
You want to, as you said, be respectful and compassionate on an individual basis with somebody who's struggling. But when it comes to parents of minor children and those parents who basically just turn the reins over to the kids and they do whatever the kid thinks he or she wants, like mutilating themselves. I mean, is there any place for condemnation and shame for the parents? Is there any, in terms of this being a social contagion you were just sort of describing, and there's certainly a facet of it. What about singling out parents who make these ghastly decisions? And the road to hell being paved with good intentions. I really don't care what their intentions are. I mean, I know there's always a reticence to get in the business of condemnation. We're all sinners. We're all hypocrites. I get it. But, again, that the parent of a minor child, just that specific cohort, what do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I mean, they're entrusted with the lives of their child, and it's really horrifying what these parents are doing. I mean, I think of it akin to Munchausen syndrome by proxy, where the caregiver, most oftentimes a mother, invents or exaggerates illnesses in her child to get them care, and it winds up making them even sicker. And you get the sense that it's almost for the sake of the mother having adulation and being the victim and being the posturing as this person who deeply cares about the child. But it really is sort of about her, and I think that there's some things very similar happening with these parents. And oftentimes they're maybe deluded, and part of the horror is that doctors and experts in their lives are telling them your kid might commit suicide if they don't get this care. And so, there's some sympathy to be had for the parents who are just terrified of that prospect. So I think that there's probably a various degrees of culpability that these parents are experiencing, but certainly, there needs to be almost a voice just saying, this is deeply harming your child. You are the father. You are the mother. This is not your role to accompany them into something that is to their demise. So, yeah, I think that there needs to be some straight and solid and candid conversations to be had, and not sort of thinking of the parent as purely a victim. The child is the victim. The
Well,
parent is responsible.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I would include the medical professionals in this business too, holding out those adults for opprobrium in the same way that are participating, again, specifically with minor children. Noelle Mering is a fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center, where she co-directs the Theology of Home project. She's an editor for Theology of Home and the co-author of the Theology of Home book series. She's also the author of the new book, Awake Not Woke, A Christian Response to the Cult of Progressive Ideology, and that will certainly be the topic in her keynote speech at Willow's Academy event on September 20th, 6 o'clock. Willow's Academy, September 20th, 6 o'clock. Willow's Academy in Des Plaines for those interested in attending. Noelle, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne-Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne-Marie is a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 17 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Christian-owned company. Don't get stuck in the endless cycle of payments. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Christian-owned Total Financial Freedom now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, by the way, that Noelle Mering speech at Willow's Academy, 6 p.m. wine and cheese, 7 p.m. keynote address. You can register for that event at willowsacademy.org. Willowsacademy.org. Awake Not Woke, a family response to ideology at Willow's Academy in Des Plaines.
And what's the date again on that?
September 20th.
September 20th.
A week from yesterday.
Today.
Today.
But that's when you should be in Ireland.
Yes.
We need to have a passport update real quick. So
a week from today. Tomorrow. What's today?
Today is
the 12th.
The 12th.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow's the 13th. It's the 20th. So a week from Friday.
Yeah.
A week from tomorrow.
That's when you're supposed to go.
Well, that's when this event
Right.
is. I'm supposed to be on a plane on the 19th.
Oh, a week from today. Will Dan make it to Ireland?
We'll
dun, dun, dun.
I got an appointment tomorrow.
With who?
With a agency. We'll find out.
With what agency?
It's an agency. I'll get you the details. If it works out, I'll get you the details because I'll, recommend that, hey, if you're in a similar predicament to me, then here's where you go. We'll see.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if you saw this. They had a number of 9/11 memorials yesterday, and it was did you know that Biden, the only man that stood between Biden and Trump was Bloomberg? It was
I
Harris,
saw the picture.
the four of them, Vance.
Harris and Trump had a handshake. It was all very pleasant.
Yes, but there was one family that called it like it was. Joanne Barbara, her husband, Fire Chief Gerard Barbara, died in Tower 2, and she did not hold back on the Bidens and their administration. Where is...
My husband of 30 years was one of them. It is outrageous that our government would ever entertain the thought of granting the terrorists a plea deal. If not for the outcry of the 9/11 community, who knows what might have transpired. It has been 23 years, and the families deserve justice and accountability. The elected officials here today show their respect and reverence to the families on September 11th. Or, in our president's words, do 9/11. Quite a flippant remark. But please remember that the September 11th families live it every day, not just on the anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point about the plea deal that was rescinded. How did that even come to be?
I know.
The
masterminds of 9/11, you're just going to let them plead out after 23 years? Why? Why would they do that? That's like pouring salt in the wound to everyone who died on that day.
I don't know if you saw this too yesterday. This was circulating. It's sort of remarkable. I'd never seen this before. Michael Toohey was the airport agent who checked in Mohammed Atta, who was the hijacker of American Airlines Flight 11, which crashed into the North Tower. Listen to what Toohey says he thought at the time upon being confronted by Atta.
Okay, fine. I look at him and I'm saying, okay, he looks like a bottle of poison, the face he's got on. And that's when I made a mental comment to myself. And I said, if this guy don't look like an Arab terrorist, nobody does. And that thought actually went through my mind. And then I gave myself a politically correct slap for even thinking that. And he's just a guy, he's going to LA on business, I don't know. So I tagged the bag, sent them on the way, checked the ID.
Yeah, because the worst thing in the world that can happen is for somebody to be called a racist or to be accused of stereotyping or profiling.
Could have stopped it. All right. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to George Hoffman, who's in for Justin, and Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning. Now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
This morning, the very latest on what's happening in space. Fox News with the very latest on what's happening in the above the atmosphere. Meantime, a man convicted of killing a Chicago police officer here has been sentenced to life in prison. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
Vice President Harris is in the lead. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Democrat has the edge over former President Trump, and new Fox News power rankings just out for the Electoral College.
Our forecast at the moment has Kamala Harris the lead. We've got her at 241. We've got Trump at 219. You need 270 to win. That's the magic number.
Fox's Bill Hemmer. There are 6 states still considered toss-ups, including Arizona, where there will be a Trump rally today. Georgia is also a toss-up, and so is North Carolina, where Harris will campaign today.
The vice president is getting aggressive. This is a state, North Carolina, that Donald Trump won twice, and it was slipping away from Joe Biden again before they lost him from the ticket. And now the Harris team is trying to capitalize on what they see as debate momentum.
Fox's Peter Doocy in Charlotte, almost 2 months after the Trump assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania, also a toss-up state in the Fox rankings. The acting Secret Service director will give lawmakers a classified briefing.
We're also learning that multiple retirements are in progress, including the agency's assistant director, Michael Platti. Other names have yet to be made public, but so far, at least 5 agents have been placed on leave.
Fox's Brooke Singman. It's day 6 of the manhunt for the Kentucky highway shooter as police keep going through a densely wooded area south of Lexington. Governor Andy Beshear says
the newest information I've received is that 4 of the 5 victims have been released from the hospital, and the 5th is expected to survive.
Francine, now a tropical depression, is dumping heavy rain on Mississippi and Alabama after hitting Louisiana as a hurricane, leaving flooding and more than 400,000 power outages. We got an update to the economy this morning showing wholesale inflation rising and falling, depending on how you measure it.
The Producer Price Index showed some signs of improvement in August, though the PPI rose 0.2% last month, more than expected, and an increase from July. The PPI for the year ending in August improved to 1.7%.
That's Fox's Jenny Casola. America's listening to
69 degrees in Chicago, 9:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man shot and killed Wednesday night in the West Garfield Park neighborhood on Chicago's west side. Officers found the 36-year-old, according to police, suffering from gunshot wounds to the back after 10:30 p.m. Two were seriously hurt after a boat they were on in Lake Michigan slammed into a break wall. That boat, according to Chicago Fire, hit the break wall near the so-called playpen close to the Ohio Street beach. Two from the boat refused medical treatment but were later rushed to a nearby hospital in critical condition. A man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for the killing of Chicago police officer Ella French and the wounding of her partner in 2021.
Lives we have to continue to lose to the graveyard or to the jailhouse. What I do know is that the men and women of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office stand ready to do their job to hold people accountable and bring justice to families. Imonte Morgan was sentenced to 2 terms of natural life in prison yesterday after being found guilty. A man arrested and charged in the fatal shooting of a liquor store employee in Glenwood. Glenwood police announcing 27-year-old Antonio Dignas of Calumet City has been charged with first-degree murder tied to the death of Naveen Singh. Cubs lost to the Dodgers 10-8. White Sox fell to Cleveland 6-4. The News is a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 right here on AM 560 The Answer. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.